stuff in the background of your videos? Because I can't play anything else, you stupid fucking idiots. I can't can't play the music of popular people because then the videos get fucked with. Like, is this your first day? What you doing? Oh, today we are definitely going to learn about the three-letter organizations. I have been distracted these last couple days and not done what the plan was because I've gotten too involved in just the regular conversation. But it's also a result of having learned new stuff, and it takes a few days to digest and get through the new pieces before we pile on more. And that's all that's going to happen here, is we're going to pile on a lot more. I think I'm doing one hell of a job of proving what I always say, and proving the conspiracy theory that there's a J control scheme, blah blah blah. I think I'm doing a pretty good job of proving that. Wow, it's a big yellow plane. It's really weird, man. Wow, that is a big yellow plane. It's weird. I go the same, and some days the signal gets lost, and some days it doesn't. Makes you wonder what the hell's going on. What is the... second for maybe 10-15 seconds, maybe. We'll see. Who the fuck's speed was 50 miles an hour? That thing is way off. All hail. Okay. I'm not good enough, not smart enough, better looking with beer. Oh boy. Oh boy. That's weird. It's all just so obvious. Oh, you love me. Well, that's nice of you. People throw that word around way too much. My family doesn't hear me say that to anyone else. Nah, you God. I'ma go. Okay. Okay. Whatever, cool. Like I say, I think I'm doing a really good job of not just saying things that are controversial or upsetting, but backing it up with the evidence that's there for everyone. Everyone has access to the same equipment in whatever that I have. And if I'm wrong about something, please call me out, make me look stupid. Do your best. That's what I want you to do. But this is, there's clearly, like as clear as anything, way more clear than anything Jesus, religious in any way. Way more clear and obvious and evidential than anything that's presented to you that you're supposed to believe. And of course it's not going to be that there is, I mean, I guess there is, but the presidential signed document says there's a J conspiracy theory in Israel, this, and, you're not going to find those exact, sign Donald Trump. Guy Williams is right, sign Donald Trump. Like, and a lot of them are pieces that you were, what's up, Algo, that you were left out of, that you didn't know existed. And yet they're very, very important pieces. I had no idea. I had never heard about the Havara Agreement until maybe a week ago. And I'll talk about the Havara Agreement until I die. I'll talk about the Havara Agreement in most of my videos from here on out. Something that I just learned about. But it's so obvious. It's so, I mean, it's like a fish. There's no conspiracy theory about it. I got a bet if Venezuela gets invaded this weekend, I get $150 That's a terrible thing to bet on. Somebody mad the food stamps getting cut off. Right? Like, that's the best you can come up with. I don't even understand, like, what does that have to do with what's being talked about? I get that you're a dumb girl, and as a dumb girl, you have a hard time following things and whatever. I get that. But what are you even, like, where's your attempt to connect there? I don't understand. I didn't bet yet. I don't know what will happen. I would never bet. I would never want to profit off of something like that. I mean, if there was a way to bet on, I mean, if I knew the way, if I knew that, because there is the futures and put options and shit like that. But if I could have bet in 2023 that Israel would do a false flag like they did on October 7th, where no Israelis died, nor were they taken hostage. If I could have bet everything I had that would have happened by December 23rd, by December of 2023, in like April of 2023, I would have definitely taken that bet. And you're, Y-O-U-R, a loser without a job. Y-O-U-R, a loser. Gotcha. So again, what does that have to do with what's being talked about there? Dumbass who's clearly not working or is doing their job. These are generally the average, like the average dumbass that you assume. Like, these are real people. This is an average dumbass. I don't think you can in your state without a VPN. Yeah, I don't. But isn't it funny how the standard dumb girl is asked to elaborate on the thing that she said, and instead of being able to have any sort of intelligent communication, she's just like, no, me dumb girl. Like, it's just, I appreciate the example. I appreciate you providing the example. Did my missing apostrophe hurt your feelings? It's not just a missing apostrophe. You're using the wrong word. It's not about feelings being hurt. It's about you coming in here arrogantly pretending like you have some sort of position of above someone, and you don't even know how to, you don't even know the right "you're" to use. You're this is third grade shit, and you're gonna claim some position of superiority? Yeah, you're an idiot. I'm in a lame state to free the stock exchanges, free the decentralized markets. Yeah, okay. This is just such a strange thing to be a part of. to see like how did they get the Goyim to be so stupid that they attack each other, especially when one of them is like, hey, let's make life better for everyone. Like, it's just it's standard stupidity, it's racism, you know. It's a lot of those things all wrapped up into one, and you just I don't know, I almost marvel at how they've been able to accomplish this. You know, the Mackenzie profile is a fucking pedophile, right? Like a legitimate pedophile, and you know, and a stalker, and a fucking and an everything weirdo. Like, you would destroy that person if you had the opportunity to. They literally bring nothing good to the world. They're literally just a horrible friar pedophile profile. The person behind it, and it's shocking, man. It's shocking. What's racism now? And why are you capitalizing stupid letters? Like, what's wrong with you? You're about to earn that ignore badge, because it's pointless. I'll just let you continue to prove my point. You know, it's just so consistent. They're just so consistently stupid. And you see, like you know, the vast majority are Israeli Jew profiles. You know, that's who's generally behind these profiles. You know, you get a Team Jorge style. You know, I mean, we all know what bot farms are. We all know they exist. There's no question on whether or not bot farms exist. But we don't really grasp what a huge operation bot farm Team Jorge has. You're being so weird. Like, you're such a typical girl. It's so weird. Like, you can't even argue reasonably. It's just dumb. I appreciate it. Oh no, whatever shall I do? Keep begging for attention, I'm sure.
Same song, dancing around the truth.
Same song, dancing around the truth. It's just so interesting. Again, these are all, every single one of these people you can safely consider a pedophile. Anybody that would come onto this feed and try to detract, you know, take away from, interfere with the guy who thinks we should kill pedos and overthrow the friar control scheme, they're more than likely a pedo and probably a friar. It's the only thing that actually makes sense. Nothing else makes sense. I'm not that important that anything else would make sense. That regular people who are, I mean, again, you never really get the answer to the question. You know, when you consider like what is actually happening, that these people have access to, you know, the entire phone, internet, any websites, any they could be playing games. They could be like, my kids are always playing games and shit on their phone. There's endless games, and a lot of them look pretty cool. They could be outside. You know, they could be hiking, they could be biking, they could be fucking, they could be doing anything else in the world, and they come here day after day after day, watching me for hours and begging for my attention because I'm wrong. Like, if you think that makes sense, Okay. To me, I just can't imagine real people have nothing else going on in their lives so instead they make fake profiles so they can come to my feed to be the example of exactly what I'm talking about. It's never like they say anything that matters or say anything that makes me like stumble or, none of their efforts actually work. And everything they do feeds the monster. So it's like, other than friars and pedophiles, who else is going to do that? You really think there are just regular old dumbasses? They got nothing else going on in their world, so they just come here to be outed as a pedo. And then when they are outed, they don't even defend it. You can't ask any of these people why they're here and get a straight answer from them. Get a reasonable, intelligent answer from them. Oh, I'm just here because you're so entertaining. Oh, well, that hurts my feelings. Right? Like, it's just so... It's so interesting. It really is fucking interesting to see the like the impossible position that I put these fucking idiots in, because that's literally what it comes down to. I put you in the position to either, be a decent human being or out yourself as a pedophile friar. And they fall for it every single time. Because it's impossible. It's impossible for you to argue with me. This person just doubled down and says, "You're Y-O-U-R still complaining," and capitalized it just to show you how stupid they are. Show how easily triggered. Yes, look how I'm so triggered. I mean, these are all just these average. This is just this is what you see time and time again. When clowns, when especially friars, and Christians, when they can't make reasonable arguments, they just start saying the same dumb shit. Oh, look how triggered you are because you're responding to me. Like, okay, well, like, again, works for me. Works for me. Whatever you want to tell yourself. Whatever you want to tell yourself. You guys notice how this is probably a Trump supporting female of all things. That's all you do is complain. Who wears the pants in your house? Well, at least you got the your right. Because you're so stupid, like if you were really trying to prove that you know the right your to use, but you used the wrong one on purpose, you would have used YOU''RE right there to sort of complete the joke and make it seem like you know what you're doing. You're just doing it, ironically or stupidly, whatever, I don't know. But instead, you actually get it right that time because, again, you're too stupid to know which is the right one to use at the right time. And this is pretty consistent. This is either you have to be that stupid or you're one of them. That's basically all those are the only two conclusions you can come to. And so she's gonna the she profile is going to deny that she's one of them. So it just means she's stupid. And that O'Connor name, well, that obviously that's not going to be a friar. But I would imagine she's probably a dumb Christian. And every comment only proves it even more. Guy fears a man just... Yes, look at me fearing a man just asking questions. He fears being drugged into introspection. Yes, that's why I go live. It's out of fear. And to think, like, this person, this of the multiple comments this person has made. This person is can say this whole paragraph worth of shit, but is the one that can't answer the simple questions. Well, why are you here? What's your motivation? What stance do you take? I don't think anybody questions my stance on things. I don't think anybody wonders what my motivation is. I like seeing you cry. Yeah, look at me crying. I mean, it's just the fantasy that you have to tell yourself. The way that you have to, like, to make yourself feel better because you're just getting smoked. To make yourself feel better and be like, I'm not looking that bad. I'm saying reasonable things. I'm making decent arguments. Look, I have you upset. Okay. That's why, again, you're allowed to be here. Don't you think if somebody was upsetting me, like I was getting upset, I was losing the argument, I was getting my ass kicked, and I wasn't capable of arguing back or anything, don't you think I would just start blocking people? Like, wouldn't that make so much more sense? If I was really that afraid, that I would just block the people that I'm so scared of? Knowing that they'll just make another profile so they can watch me? Because, that's what you do when you hate people. Or, I don't care about spelling in chat room. Oh, well, you spell everything else correctly. You spelled apostrophe correctly. Obviously, you cared about spelling it right in that regard. And really, we know you don't spell it correctly. You get the first 3 letters in and then pick you let the phone populate it for you. Which is even worse because it just shows you that you're literally picking the wrong your. You're not typing it all the way out. Of the 3 options you have to choose from, you're too stupid to pick the correct one. And really, your phone will fix it for you. So it's even worse. Loser! Now let's change the subject. You're a loser! Why aren't you at work, loser? Why aren't you at work, loser? Yeah, you banned me several times. Of course I banned you. You crossed the line, I'm sure. I love banning pedophiles. And when you cross that line again with the profile that you made 8 days ago. See, I mean, again, just think about that. This person is acknowledging that I have banned them several times, meaning I've made multiple, they've made multiple fake so they can continue watching me. Who does that? Like, what real people do that? I've never made a fake profile to watch somebody before. I just can't imagine that level of desperation. Especially if the person blocks me. But this just shows you who we're dealing with here. And you're still upset about my... Why do you think I'm upset about your spelling? Do you think when I'm smiling and laughing about how stupid you are, that means I'm upset? Are you one of those weirdos who, like, laughs and cries at the same time? Did you ever think to stop? Did she intentionally misspelled it to bait you? Yes. Oh, man. See, again, this is how stupid you are. If she was intentionally misspelling it, then she would intentionally misspell it each time. No, I'm 100% sure she's too dumb to know which one to use. And if you think that you're baiting someone by making yourself look stupid, oh, please stop baiting me. Please stop baiting me by making yourself look stupid. Please, it hurts me so much when you make yourself look stupid. Like, this is so ridiculous. And again, ask yourself, who is going to be the people that are coming to do this much, put this much effort in, make all the fake profiles and get banned several times and, you know, gonna spell things wrong so they can bait me and all these other goofy things. Who's gonna do that to the guy that thinks we should kill pedos and overthrow the J Powers scheme? Overthrow the friars. Other than pedos and friars, who is going to care that much? You can ask them, they're not going to tell you. Bro, why do you keep watching me? Because this is so fucking funny, dude. Okay. If it's funny to be called a pedophile and to keep proving my points, please laugh it up. Laugh it up. You're literally spending hours every single day begging for attention, making fake profiles, and not doing anything else in your life. And that's supposed to upset me. Yup. I mean, it's just this is exactly this is what happens when you start talking about Israel. This is what happens to people who start talking about the friars, not just Israel, but the friars themselves. This is what happens when people start, go ask all your pedophile hunters. They experience something similar. People that oppose pedophilia, who are, ask yourself, who is going to be really proficient at making fake profiles, working behind the scenes, communicating with their little group, and who has a ton of experience doing that other than fucking pedos? I don't know how to do that shit. I don't know how to make fake profiles. I've been doing this for a long time. I don't know how to make fake profiles. I don't have a desire to. I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out. But this is what happens when you speak against the friar narrative. You would think people would be like, well, let's engage this. Let's look into this. Let's argue this. If he's wrong, let's argue. But this is all they can do. Because what they are is a disgusting pedophilia cult. They're a cult of fucking pedophiles, and they don't want to be outed as such. So we talked about. So this to me is such a big piece of this puzzle, right? This is the secure community network, right? And when you understand, like again, these guys want to talk about me all the time. I want to talk about the big picture. I'm not the person sitting here, blowing themselves. These guys keep talking about me. They don't have the ability to engage in these kind of conversations because they don't know it. Or if they do, their job is to prevent the rest of us from knowing it. But the Secure Community Network is a friar security organization in North America. It works with hundreds of synagogues to provide safety guidance and threat intelligence. SCN liaises with law enforcement and other organizations. Oh, wait, let's see. For you to put the crack straw down on to make a fake profile, all you do is set up a new. Yep. Put the crack straw down. Again, this is fucking ridiculous. You have to ask yourself, have you seen any of these people deny being pedophiles yet? Have any of these people said, I'm not a fucking pedo, but I don't like you because of this, or I don't like, or I'm here because of that? Have any of them even acknowledged it? I've called them pedophiles multiple times, and not one of them is even bothered by that. This guy is a true idiot. Yep. we get name calling. We got our schizo. We're getting all. They're playing all the hits. You know what? Before we go any further, let's just, because it's been a while since I've read it. So what people need to understand is there are things like act.il. And act.il will uh, connect with what else we talk about. But act.il was a social networking service used by supporters of Israel to oppose online anti-Israel content, such as the boycott, divestments, and sanctions movements (BDS). Its activities were referred to as an online propaganda campaign and a virtual situation room of pro-Israel experts. Now, this is where you need to pay attention. Act.il directed its users to, quote, missions. Missions, in quotes, missions. So, like a military organization. Directed its users to missions to like, comment on, and share pro-Israel material on social media. It also asked users to flag, report, and respond to criticisms of Israel. Users were guided how to respond, which might entail writing a reply using the provided talking points. That's why they all say the same dumb shit over and over and over. That's why you see it from the nobody nothing like me to the guy you're allowed to see, Ian Carroll. It's part of their, like. So again, when you start looking at the history of things, and you start connecting those dots, you see things like how act.il and the secure community network are connected, because you kind of have to, well, how do they all know this shit, right? How do they all get the same programming? What is the medium by which the information is presented? And it's a good question, but when you look at the secure community network and them saying that they are connected to 93% or 90% of all American friars are connected to this network that none of you have ever heard about. You've never even heard about this, but yet they all know about it, and none of them have told you about it. All your really good friends, oh, I have some really good friar friends. You can't just blame the whole cult. I have some good friar friends who are nice to my face. Have they ever told you, hey, if there's ever some sort of catastrophe or anything, contact me right away, because I have a secure community network that will update us in real time, way before the news gets the story, way before, they inform the police a lot of the time. Have any of them ever told you about the secure community network? Eh? It's this is the kind of shit where it all connects. You can see it all. So when you see this telling you that they're guided how to respond with provided talking points, the notion that if you don't agree with, you as a dumb goyim don't agree that they are superior, that they are God's chosen people and they deserve all of the Semitism that they get, all of the favor that they get. If you think, hey, we're all just here equally, let's work together, brother, you're fucking crazy. Literally, that is the main talking point that they use. That's the main argument that you see across the board, and it goes all the way back to their origin bullshit. They say the origins of Zionism are something called the Auto Emancipation Pamphlet. Auto Emancipation Pamphlet. 1882. People love to talk about the Balfour Declaration and all this other shit. Man, they are so fucking off. That's how you know people aren't looking for themselves. They're just they're surface level. Their truther person has been telling them, you know, has gotten to this point and told them this, but they don't actually look to know, right? I'm delusional. I am delusional because I'm spitting out facts. You would think, again, instead of saying all of these other things, they would just go, oh, dude, you're wrong about this, and this is why. And it would make me look stupid. You would think they would just focus on the things I'm wrong about instead of trying to, talk about anything else but. But this is what they do. Because again, it's part of the provided talking points. It's provided, or it's part of the guided on how to respond. Never actually answer questions. And it's funny too because one of Trump's mentors, I forget which one it is offhand, I'm sorry, but one of his friar mentors, one of the big guys, he's dead now, but he was one of Trump's major, mentor, financiers and all that for years. He told Trump that exact thing. You never actually admit to or answer any questions. You just sort of say stuff. And even if you're wrong, you keep saying it until people believe you. And if they don't believe you, oh well, you keep saying it anyway. And that's the backbone of what they do, right? This is the backbone of their entire presentation, is to call people crazy, to say that you have some sort of mental disorder, you need to take your meds, whatever. And that literally goes all the way back. It's in the Auto Emancipation pamphlet, stating that the friars deserve their own land, their own everything, they deserve the best of everything, and if any goyim doesn't agree with that, it's because they have a mental disorder. And really, you can find it. Find me the interview where you have a friar, an Israeli friar, being grilled and actually giving answers, like explaining things. Show me the rabbi. I've been begging for years for a rabbi to come through and tell me what I'm wrong about. Go on, rabbi. Tell me why Matitza B'Peh is okay. I'd love to hear about it. And the thing is, again, since it's all connected, you can start putting things together that, like the terrorist attack in the UK recently, where, what is it, 2, maybe 3 people were killed, but at least one of the people was killed by the police. The friars were killed when that random Arab, Pakistani, whatever, rammed his car into a group of people and tried to get into a building. Well, nobody's asking about that building. Why? Because of course they killed the perpetrator, so we don't get to hear his side of the story. But nobody's asking, what was going on there. And the thing is, the door that he was trying to get into was where a bunch of elderly people and children were inside. Not those elderly people's children or whatever, but elderly people and children were all in this locked room together on Yom Kippur. The number one day of atonement, the number one day of redemption. And when you understand that their idea of redemption, one of the key principles of their redemption arc involves ritualistic sexual abuse of children, it really puts a different spin on that. And people are, what do you mean, ritual sexual abuse of children? It's all there for you to find it. Strangely enough, they put it out. Not some Goyim newspaper, not some Alex Jones, not some this, that, and the other thing. Oh, now my blunts are dipped in formaldehyde. Smoking that water. Got that water? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. See, this is again, instead of actually arguing with anything I'm saying, they just keep upping the ante, trying to make it something's wrong. This guy is telling the truth about the friars, so it must be drug related. This guy doesn't believe that we're superior, so he must be on drugs. Like, this is just how they work, man. Oh, it's so silly to see how this always works out. And they're like relentless. They just keep commenting. I might answer one or two comments, and they just keep, same people, day after day after day, mad at the guy who's exposing the friars. Gee, I wonder who that is. You know, because there's so many of your average white or black or whatever Americans that would be just angry as hell at me for talking about this. You know, when I talk about the Bottom of Darkness article from Israel Hayom, I'm the problem. Not what the article talks about. No, not the ritualistic sexual abuse. No, it's my fault for talking about it. I'm the number one like representative. I'm the biggest voice I know of standing up for Jewish children. Right? I don't know anybody else that's standing up for Jewish children like I am. You're mad. My mad what? My mad what? You're mad cat? Is my cat mad or something? See how stupid you are? I had to stop smoking due to this CHS. The weed has gotten too strong for me these days. Oh, sure. When you're in a lot of pain and you don't take pain medication, it's a different story. So why isn't everybody talking the terrorist attack? And again, it's a terrorist attack whenever they're involved. Whenever it's them, it's a hate crime and it's a terrorist attack. Dylan Roof, can't remember. Root? He had pictures of himself in front of, Confederate flags. He posted all this stuff. He went to the black church. But we're not sure if it's a hate crime or not. We're not going to sure if we're going to charge him with a hate crime or not. But what we don't understand, what the average person, the average Goyim doesn't understand, how many of you, average Goyim, know of a network that you can call, a hotline that you can call, that if somebody says something that you don't like, you report it to the hotline, and then it's chalked up as a hate crime in the national statistics? How many of you know of that phone number? Oh, I don't act like this, dude. You don't read? I guess I'm not really surprised by that. You don't read and try to learn. No, like every single troll, that's you troll somebody else. At the end of the day, you're trolling. Like you can't even do anything to get your own attention. You know, if you go live, people are gonna rip your ugly face apart, your fat ass apart, and you know, you have to like try to ride the coattails of somebody else because you're not capable of coming up with your own shit, which is literally, that's what Hollywood is. That's what Hollywoodism is. That's what they're not creative. They're not the ones that are innovating and creating new things and writing plays and all this. They're not that. They're the ones that maybe perform it, or they're the ones that facilitate it, but all they do is steal, steal, steal. Ouch. They did the same thing they're doing in Palestine, just on a figurative level, to all of the music industry. It's all the same cult. The same cult is in charge of all of the same of all of it, which is why it works out the way it does. I'm pretty sure I read a lot more than you. Yep, I'm pretty sure you do, which is why you literally haven't made a single counter argument. You're just crying, begging for attention and crying because you're so well educated and well read. Please don't bring the bumper. Does this bother you? You don't like this? Oh, okay. Well, but back to act.il. The meme also provides the app also provided users with ready-made memes promoting Israel's perspective for them to share. Again, pay attention. By completing missions, users earned points, unlocked badges, and had their scores displayed on leaderboards. They literally they made trolling into a video game with real life prizes, with real life benefit. So, X amount of points gets you a trip to Israel. X amount of points gets you a new car. X amount of points gets you a TV. And I don't know the point structure, just like I didn't know until last week or earlier this week, about the secure community network. Just because we don't know about it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But the secure community network it literally says that they connect at least 90% of all of North American friars. Do you know of anything else that is that efficient in connecting any group of people? Hasbara is literally, it was propaganda. It's what they called propaganda. But that word brought too much negative publicity to it. So they changed it to Hasbara, which they say translates basically to explaining. But it's propaganda. It's pro-Israel propaganda. And it's well funded, and it's very deep, and it's very well connected, and it's a very, very well-known thing in those upper circles, of which none of you are a part of. The megaphone desktop tool. This is yet another one of these things. The megaphone desktop tool was a Windows action alert tool developed by Give Israel Your United Support and distributed by World Union of Friars Students, World Friar Congress, Friar Agency for Israel, World Zionist Organization, Stand With Us, Hezbollah Fellowships, Honest Reporting, and other pro-Israel public relations organizations. And basically what it is it was a software that scoured the web. It basically turns your computer into a weapon, whether you were using it or not. So it would scour the web for polls and all sorts of things that involved Israel. Do you support this? Do you support that? And it would vote on your behalf. It would vote positively for Israel on your behalf. And it might even leave a comment or something like that. But it made everybody's, so when they say the polling numbers show or this or that or the other thing shows, well, they were able to take advantage of that because, most of those aren't actual people. It's something like that Megaphone desktop tool where it's getting the vote even though the person who owns the computer didn't actually do it. And I mean, this shit, you don't see this with anyone else. In the early part of Trump's first presidency, 3, quote, listening devices were found triangulated around the White House in a way that they could intercept any ingoing and outgoing communications from the White House. And because of where they were positioned, it wouldn't matter where you were in the White House, the range covered it. And almost immediately, they figured out that they were Israeli listening devices, Israeli spy devices, illegal. But as soon as it was known that they were Israeli, story disappeared. Do you guys remember the riverboat brawl and how disgustingly the folding chair became a symbol for blacks for a minute? Do you guys remember that shit? It was I don't know, Georgia, Alabama, something like that. But a ferry boat was that always docked in this same area. Part of its thing, they owned the spot and whatever. There was another group of rowdy white people who had for years given them shit. Parked in their spot, would just cause problems. This wasn't an isolated incident. And so what ended up being one of the black officers from the ferry boat, one of the black higher ranking people of the ferry boat line, got out and went to talk to him like, hey, can you move, blah, 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 blah. This is ridiculous. Why are you guys always doing this? And so this is an not elderly, but older black gentleman. The white guys start fighting with him. And the black people from all around see what's happening, and they start coming in to sort of rescue this lone black guy who's being assaulted by 2 dudes and 2 females. It turns into this big nasty situation. This one dude grabs this white folding chair and he fucking blasts a woman who had already been knocked down and she wasn't even a part of it, but he hits her with it. He starts swinging on people, and somehow this becomes a symbol, so much so that the New Day came out to the ring holding a white folding chair as like a symbol. It was disgusting. It was disgusting on every fucking level. The fact that the blacks, that black people, the black community rallied around this like it was this amazing thing. It was great until the white guys cowered and backed down and the blacks kept going. I know that they did what they did and it wasn't okay. But for you to then take it even farther and start swinging chairs on white people. It's like this thing was just out of hand, right? The thing is, I don't know if you remember, like this was like the biggest story in the country at the time. And then it just disappeared. And you know, when that happens, the majority of people just they okay, I'm supposed to look this way now. Okay, I'm supposed to look this way now. They don't even think about it. Well, I'm not like that. I think about it. And so looking into it, turns out, I mean, they might not be, but they definitely had friar last names. I think it was something Berg, I think. But they definitely had friar-ish last names. And as soon as the names were sort of released and it was like, hey, those are friars, that's when the story disappeared. You know, I can show you so many examples of similar shit happening. And you can all look it up for yourself, everything I'm saying. If I'm wrong, by all means, tell me what thing I'm wrong about. But of course, you won't see that. You won't see anybody telling me what I'm wrong about because they can't. I'm not wrong about anything. And I'm definitely not wrong about the idea that we should kill pedos. And I'm definitely not wrong that the Goyim should unite and overthrow the people that prevent this world from being the utopia it should be by 2025. We should absolutely be in a utopia. But if we were in a utopia, well, then the people that enjoy other people's suffering wouldn't really have anything to enjoy, now would they? But you start looking at this secure community network, and it's shocking. You know, it really is. You know, the secure community network created by the Friar Federations of North America. That's what I was going to read today. And the Conference of Presidents of Major Friar Organizations in 2004. Is a quasi-official umbrella security agency for the American friar community. It has the broadest mandate of any organization that specializes in providing security for friar families. The SCN replaced the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, as the principal clearinghouse for friar security issues, though the ADL still trains law enforcement to identify threats. I mean, this is something you should absolutely be looking into. I've already done it, so I want to go into the Friar Federations of America, of North America. Because, you know, all of these three-letter alphabets have, what you'll see, and you'll hear it over and over again, is that it's this manufactured organization that then has these manufactured positions. Well, he's the CEO, he's the president, he's the this or that of this ABC organization or that DEF organization, or, you know. And so you create a position of prestige where they have power and they're well paid. They get that government paycheck. Whether it's through grants or even through donors who are using loopholes in the system to launder money into these organizations. So that it really is as crazy as you can imagine the more you read. And the more you read, it's not like the opposite happens. It's not like you gain an understanding of what we're told and what we're told and the way things work. It just makes sense now. You okay? Oh, okay. Because of this organization, this happens. Makes sense. Totally legit. I guess I was wrong for thinking there was any sort of conspiracy. Guess what never happens? That. The Friar Federation of North America. The JFNA, formerly the United Friar Communities, UJC, is an American friar umbrella organization for the Friar Federation system, representing over 350 independent friar communities across North America. You'll like this part. That raise and distribute over $2 billion annually, including through planned giving and endowment programs to support social welfare, social services, and educational needs. So when people like me, all crazy, claim that they don't have to work, that lots of them live for free, living a very, very good life. You ever, I'm sure a lot of you, especially you friars on here, you haven't worked at all. But if you've ever worked in a grocery store or you've worked in a place where people they can pay with food stamps, you see them come in all the time, get out of their nice Cadillac or their Mercedes or whatever it is, and come and pay for food with stamps because they belong to the program. Somehow they're able to be poor enough while driving a Mercedes. You see this with the Arabs too. It's really crazy. $2 billion, $2 billion annually from this one organization to give to the community that makes up maybe 3%, but more than likely 2%. And if that, 2% might even be a lot. 2% of the American population and 0.183% of the world's population. But in the United States, 2% of the population has at least one organization raising and distributing $2 billion annually to the people. Do you not think that is some fucked up shit, man? And look at the comments. Look at how they're like, oh, he's on drugs. He's crazy. He's on drugs. He's on drugs. I'm literally reading you what it says. How is this me being on drugs? This is Wikipedia. This is the official source. This is the number one source of information in the world. This is the number one source of information in the world that Israel actually controls. What's that you say? You don't think Israel controls Wikipedia? I'm just crazy, am I? What does former Prime Minister now, but in 2010, future Prime Minister Naftali Bennett have to say to the IsraelNationalNews.com? Let's see what he has to say about it.
In conjunction with My Israel, has arranged.
Oops. Poop.
This is the quickest way to clear out stuck poop.
The number one food for regular BM.
It makes me sick. Israel.
Instruction day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
I came here to learn more about.
Okay, so someone says, anyone can edit Wikipedia, LOL clown. Really? So you think Wikipedia gives everyone the opportunity to just go to its page, click edit, click select all, click delete, and then just jump from, and click save, and then just jump from. Wikipedia gives the average person the option to be able to literally destroy Wikipedia's work with no repercussions, with no safety protocols in place. Or now let's see, let's just think. Does Wikipedia give the illusion that you can edit things? Give you the opportunity to suggest an edit, which is then sent to the editors, as this video so eloquently puts it. They were there, Israel was there to teach Wikipedia, the #1 source of information in the world, how to do their job, how to edit their own shit. Isn't that interesting? And yet you're saying that anybody in the world can just go edit Wikipedia to say whatever they want it to say. Gee, that's strange. That's strange. It's not true. Like, you're stupid if you think that way. That would be a bad business model if they allowed people to just destroy their platform all willy-nilly. Now, to suggest, to show people that they have the, to suggest to people that they have the ability to edit things, that's one thing. But hey, let's listen to what Miriam Schwab has to say. Maybe this will enlighten us a little bit. She's the second one interviewed.
How we as Israelis and as Jews can defend Israel online, on the internet, and particularly in Wikipedia in this case. Wikipedia is a bit of a complex system, and it's sometimes hard to figure out the rules. I've personally tried to edit things in Wikipedia that were against Israel, small things, and my changes were erased or undone. And
So wait. So this is somebody who's saying, hey, I didn't like what was written about Israel, so I tried to change it, but I couldn't. I thought everybody could just edit Wikipedia. I know my region has been blocked. I haven't been able to edit Wikipedia in a very long time because of misuse in my region. I don't know. I don't even know. It's a strange thing. You're a clown. Y-O-U-R, a clown. Yep. Look how dumb I am. That's how dumb I am. Guy who's been on YouTube for 4 months and has no subscribers. That doesn't sound like some Team Jorge shit. Wait, what? What's Team Jorge? Oh, well, here, let me tell you. I'd love to tell you about Team Jorge. On Wikipedia, you know, on the Wikipedia that anybody can edit. And these guys know that I read this all the time. So you would think they would just edit it to say things like Guy Williams is stupid or, you know, anything like that to prove that anybody can edit anything. And yet they don't. So what makes sense, right? Because Naftali Bennett said they were there to teach the editors how to edit in Wikipedia. For example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, that's the 2010 Gaza flotilla, mind you. I know a lot of you like to think it started in October of 2020 when no Israelis were killed or taken hostage. It's all a false flag. But no, this is the Gaza flotilla that he mentioned by name is the one where Ken O'Keefe comes from. Magical Ken O'Keefe. But he says, when people search the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to influence what is written, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature. He's not even smart enough to say, so it's balanced and paints Israel fairly or something like that. No. He says balanced and Zionist in nature. Now, let's do a little exercise here, right? Imagine you have a company that literally does anything. You make coffee cups. And you become the number one coffee cup maker in the world. Then Israel comes to your facility to teach you how to make handles on coffee cups or, make the glaze on coffee cups. You're the number one source in the world, and Israel's going to come in and teach you how to do your job? Is anybody going to be okay with that? Yes, anyone can technically edit Wikipedia, but there are rules, accounts, and dogouts. You don't need an account to edit. You can make edits anonymously. However, creating a free account... Yeah, no, you're wrong. You're just wrong. And again, it's like this is just a simple exercise that I guess you're just too stupid to wrap your head around. But if anybody could just edit Wikipedia, they could destroy Wikipedia. Not to mention, they wouldn't have editors there to ensure that every edit made is balanced and Zionist in nature. Like, I'm showing you the evidence, right? You can cry all you want and pretend all you want and be blind and ignorant all day. It doesn't matter. All you do is make it easier for me. But this is where it's like, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on, right? You put your feelings down and you just go, okay, would it make sense for Wikipedia to just let anybody edit their shit? No. Would they have editors there if anybody could just edit something? Now, I know you can suggest an edit on some things. There are lots of things, especially things that have to do with Israel, like the act.il thing, that are completely locked up. So nobody's allowed to edit it. And considering Wikipedia is the official source of information as far as our system is concerned, if you go to school and you're doing a book report on, weights and measures or whatever, and you cite Wikipedia as one of your sources, it's a fair source. It's the modern day encyclopedia. That's why it has the pedia name on it. That's why nobody has out-of-date encyclopedias anymore. And if Wikipedia isn't a good source of information, although it's the number one source of information, what would be a better thing to use? Obviously the articles that stories are based on, like this Team Jorge stuff, if you actually look up the articles about it, it's even more in depth. But what you have to understand is that Wikipedia is not like 100% true by any means. However, it's 100% the truth that Israel wants you to know. And that's what Naftali Bennett was saying. Everything that goes through the editing process, that goes through the screening process to be sure to check to see if what's being said is balanced and Zionist in nature. That's how this works. It goes through that system. That system that's designed to make you think a certain way. So again, it's not 100% true, but it's the truth that they want us to know. And so when you're looking at something like Team Jorge, again, who's gonna bet? Did I edit this page last night? I was like, I know, tomorrow I'll talk about Team Jorge, and I'll edit the Wikipedia page to say all these things. So ha ha ha, I can say these. Like, who's gonna fucking edit the page? Anything that doesn't shine a good light on Israel, why would that be allowed to exist if they didn't want it to? So Team Jorge is the name given to just one. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of other Israeli outfit of Israeli contractors, Israeli black ops organizations, specialized in the use of malign cyber activities, including hacking, sabotage, and bot farm-run social media disinformation campaigns to manipulate the outcomes of elections. So if they have this very special program that can manipulate elections using that very special program to fuck with some dude's YouTube feed is not out of the scope of things. Is not crazy. Is foolish to think that they can't. One of the organization's primary tools is a software package called Advanced Impact Media Solutions, or AIMS. The group was exposed in February 2023 after an award-winning undercover operations by journalists from, now we have to move because it says journalists from Israel and France, but if you just go down a little bit more, it says, and other media organizations in France, Germany, Indonesia, Israel, Kenya, Spain, Tanzania, and the United States. So it's actually a lot bigger than it's initially sort of told to you. As part of a consortium of investigative journalists, the consortium being those other places, coordinated by Forbidden Stories. The organization has been active on paper since at least 2015. The year before Donald fucking Trump lost the election by 2.7 million votes. And then the swamp that he promised to drain, the Apex swamp, put him in office anyway. And just like so many other promises, he didn't keep it. Just like Hillary Clinton. When I win, I promise you're going to be in jail. Remember that? Just like releasing the files, just like lowering the gas and food prices. Has it been long enough that the gas and food prices haven't been lowered, they've gone up? That you're like, hey, maybe he lied. Has it happened yet? No. But on paper, we can track them back to just before Russia interfered in the election. We're never told how Russia interfered with the election. Not like, and even if they did, he lost. He lost by 2.7 million votes. The only interference came after the fact when somebody overrode our decision. The Electoral College has only overrode the popular vote 3 times in modern history. The first 2 times were when George Bush Jr. won both times. And the second time, or the third time, I mean, was Donald Trump. Every other time there's ever been an election, the people picked the right one. We didn't need the Electoral College to come in and override the vote. California wasn't picking the president every other time. But this one time, oh yeah, we needed to step in because, you guys didn't pick the right person, apparently. And if you go back and you look, they did everything they could to try to make us vote for Trump and not pick Hillary. Everybody was just so appalled by Trump that even though the Clinton emails, the Podesta shit, the breaking the phones, they even tried at the very last possible second, they broke the Danny Williams, Danney Williams story, which is Bill Clinton's illegitimate halfy kid that everybody's known about. Like Hillary knew, White House, everybody knew on the inside, but nobody knew. Suddenly this story breaks the Friday before the election. And he's going to go get a DNA test, but the results won't be there until after the election. Just to piss off, try to get any last little lingering racist they could. She was okay with. I mean, it's just ridiculous to think that the lengths that they went to try to make Hillary look bad. And she was horrible. Like, don't get me wrong. She's a motherfucking terrible piece of shit, awful, horrible human being, just like all of them in that circle. It's not about a personal preference towards Hillary or Trump. Either way, they're equally shitbags. The point being, that it doesn't matter what it's all manufactured. It's all stupid. They're controlling both sides. And it's so crazy because we all know, like, history is that. The Rothschilds did that throughout history according to the narrative that they've given us. We know that's how this whole shit works. And yet, when it comes to the guy that you like, for whatever reason, when it's Trump, it's because, he's a racist, sexist, homophobe like you. He's just has the ability to say it out loud. You'd get your ass beat if you did, so you don't say it. Or you come on to, random feeds with your fake profile and you talk all your shit because then you're tough. But there's no reason why anybody should have, support, like, even the dumb rednecks that do support Trump. It's like, do you go, so you're cool with all the Israel stuff, America first, but Israel too? Like, and they immediately, well, you think Hamas is better? You like Hamas because we've been so programmed that the Arab enemy is the enemy that it's like it gives the excuse because they're trying to get rid of the enemy. Israel is going after those Hamas who are Arabs, and Arabs are bad. So it might not be good, but they're going after bad guys. Like, it's amazing how totally manipulated the narrative is. And from all directions, from all sides. And this is just more of it because they've been active on paper since 2015 and boasts of having manipulated 33 presidential elections worldwide, many of them in Africa. Don't worry, white people. Many, meaning 4 or more, in Africa. And in 27 cases with successful results. 82% of the time they try to manipulate a presidential election, this one organization is successful. Remember, at least 4 are in Africa. And if you read about the ones that they actually talk about, the examples they give, they only seem to give examples of their failures. And those failures are in Africa. They give about 3 or 4 examples of, oh yeah, we screwed this, it didn't work this time or that time. And those are in Africa. Twenty-seven out of 33 times. 33, of course, again. 82% of the time. Like that's at the highest levels, 82% success rate is unheard. The best baseball players in the world, the Shoheis, the Judges, they hit about 35% of the time. Meaning they fail double, sometimes triple what they succeed when, compared to when they succeed. And they're the best in the world. These guys are manipulating populations through social media and are successful 80% of the time. 82% of the time. It's just wild, man. It really is wild. Their activities were revealed following a 2022 sting operation in Tel Aviv carried out by 3 undercover journalists who posed as prospective clients and filmed their interactions with Tal, T-A-L, Hanan, H-A-N-A-N. And I actually suggest reading the articles because the articles are just so much more detailed and so much more holy fuck. Tal Hanan, the group's leader and former Israeli Special Forces operative, in which he explained the inner workings of the organization. According to Hanan, the group's leader, Team Jorge has existed for more than 2 decades, not since 2015, more than 2 decades, which would account for 33 presidential elections worldwide. And that's just the presidential elections. Think about all the other shit that they've manipulated. Because they have engaged in propaganda and disinformation in more than 30 countries. And their services have been available to government intelligence agencies, which seems like, why would that even be a thing? Why would governments be able to hire black ops organizations to secretly manipulate public opinion, sway public opinion in an election or something? Like, how is that not election fraud? How is that not the highest levels of election fraud? Government intelligence agencies, political campaigns, and private companies that wish to covertly manipulate public opinion. It's Wikipedia. It's on Wikifuckingpedia. It's not like this is some secret. It's not like I'm some detective, some code breaker and shit, and I found some long lost, redacted document that I was able to uncover and shit. No, this is fucking Wikipedia is telling you. Huh? Sometimes. How do you know? Don't you know I'm like sleeping around like crazy? I mean, just because you know where I am at all times doesn't mean anything. But think about that. Like, this is Wikipedia This is just one Israeli black ops organization that has access to this ability. And it's so well known that it's a Wikipedia page about it, and it's covertly manipulating public opinion for a price. You can find plenty of interviews with Sucker Dick boasting about how he's so proud that Facebook has, targeted outside countries that have troll farms. They've taken out 1,000 troll profiles out of China, 800 out of the Philippines, and yet he never even mentions Israel, right? Yet you're going to hear something in a minute that is strange at the very least, I guess. Because one of the organization's primary tools is a software package called Advanced Impact Media Solutions, or AIMS. This is it. This is the big go home right here. The software automates centralized control of thousands of fake social media profiles across the board. Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, tech, whatever. TikTok. And this is where reading the actual articles is shocking, because they claim that at any given time they can create as many as 30,000 of these profiles. 30,000 at any given time. And they're not, the articles say it's not fair to call them bots, because this technology is so much more advanced than any of the nerds in any of the journalistic positions that exist in all of those countries that I mentioned earlier. None of those nerds had seen any technology even close to this before. But they said it's more comparable to avatars, in that each profile has multiple. It's not just a profile on YouTube. The character also exists on Facebook and on Instagram and on all of these other platforms. The same character persists, and it's able to have conversations that your average bot isn't able to have. This is as spooky conspiracy theory, sci-fi, just whatever you want to call it. This is it. This is smoking gun, undeniable, proof positive. There's nothing you can say to the contrary. So what do you say? Why isn't this? Why wasn't this when it came out in 2023? Why wasn't this the biggest story that exists? Oh man, think about this. This shit was exposed in February of 2023. Right? And remember, this is just one of the organizations. So if each organization has access to this technology, because of course they would, why would any one Israeli group have, sole monopoly over a technology that's for Israel's benefit? Israel's benefit outweighs everything else, according to everything I've seen and heard. So if you just had 10 of these organizations going full throttle, creating 30,000 bot profiles, just 10, you have 300,000 following. If you, instead of using it for negative, you use it for positive. Like creating a guy like, I don't know, Ian Carroll, who came out of nowhere in March of 2023. Just after this shit was exposed. And the thing is, I wouldn't have anything negative to say about Ian Carroll. if it weren't for, basically one thing that sort of like tipped me off. Whenever somebody starts saying, arrogantly, well, I have some friar friends who are nice to my face, so you can't blame, I know plenty of good friars, so you can't blame the whole community for it's the Zionists. You gotta, it's the Zionists that are bad. Whenever somebody is doing that shit, I have to pull back. And as soon as you pull back just a little bit, that shine that keeps you sort of blinded to things starts to fall apart really quick. And you start going, hey, where did this guy just come from? When I was enamored by him, I wasn't paying attention. But now that I've seen a chink in the armor, let's think, there might be a few more. Why is he allowed to say everything he says without any sort of repercussions? No channel blocks, it literally has his page called cancel this and still doesn't get in any sort of trouble. Why is that? And the thing is, like, it's like we all know that controlled opposition exists, right? Can anybody point me in the direction of some? Can anybody show me some official controlled opposition that you know of, that like you can proof positive, be like, yeah, this was exposed, this guy was controlled opposition the whole time, everybody thought he was this guy, but he was really that guy? No. Everybody has their thoughts. Alex Jones is controlled opposition, and he is, but it's just whether you like the guy or not. If you like the guy, you're going to be like, no, my guy's not controlled opposition. That guy is, and that guy is, and your guy is. But they don't say the key pieces. And of course, the system has to create that bubble, that protection. There has to be that person that says almost everything. They have to give us somebody like that, because if they don't give them to us, one will just rise naturally. And when one rises naturally, they're much harder to control. Once you start making your own money, once you don't need their money, once you don't live a normal life anymore, you live a good life, but it's on your own, that's much harder to sway you. The best time to get you is when you're poor. Because it's, we're going to give this to you. You don't want us to take this away and you go back to what it was, do you? Because poor sucks. If I've said it time and time again, man, if given the opportunity, if approached and said, we'll give you $10 million, shut the fuck up, you guys would never see me again. Because it just doesn't matter at this point. It's like, I don't know. We're at such a different time. 10 years ago, I definitely would have thought, we're not going to be here within my lifetime. I didn't think it was going to happen this quickly. But you really do have a lot of people opening up, turning on, coming online or whatever. And that's where you're starting to see the cracks in the illusion that, the truthers that we all trust, all at the same time are saying, hey, there seems to be people saying, hey, we should focus on the cult and not just the Zionist. No, you focus on the Zionist. I have some friends. And to me, the obvious analogy is NAMBLA. Would you ever be friends with a NAMBLA member? Is there anything the NAMBLA member can say to you to make you go, oh, I guess you're okay? Oh, I don't partake in any of the man-boy stuff. I just belong to the organization. And I pay my dues and I donate and I raise money for the organization. And whenever they have a fundraiser, where they set up a bunch of little kid bounce houses and shit, and thousands of kids from all around come, and yeah, a couple of them are selected and picked out, and they get abused, but most of them don't. Like 99% of the kids don't get picked. So, it's okay. Like, is that an excuse? Is that something any of you would accept as a reality? Would you go, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. I guess since they're providing such fun for the entire community, it's okay that a couple get picked off? Would any of you say that? Do any of you think that way? If they're really such good people, they don't need to be a part of the horrible cult. It's 2025. You don't just get to hide behind tradition. Tradition. It's bullshit. Just like people can't say, oh, well, my family was racist. We had plantations way back, and my granddaddy was racist, and my daddy was racist, so I'm going to be racist. Nobody's going to say that, oh, okay, well, hey, he makes a good point. Times change. They're according to the narrative we're given. I'm not saying it's true because, again, I have a hard time believing about anything we're told before, say, I don't know, 1950. I don't even know when I would accept narratives we're given. I know there are people that were alive, but the chances of them being at the time and place are slim to none. I'd love to talk to the people who witnessed the Pentagon being built in 14 months. I'd love to talk to those people. Wow, I lost 2 likes. That was quick. Or no, did I? I don't know. Maybe it was 2 views. I don't remember. Like, share, and sub if you're watching. Obviously, somebody with 8 likes shouldn't have 5 viewers, but this is what censorship looks like. I don't know what you think censorship looks like. You think the guy that has hundreds and thousands of views is being censored? Well, you're not really thinking, are you? I don't remember what I was saying. I know as soon as I start thinking about the Pentagon, the whole narrative is just so fucking ridiculous to me. I encourage every single one of you to once you're off of here, go look up the Pentagon, or just go look at my video about the Pentagon. But I mean, you want to talk about a crazy narrative that just not only does it not make sense, it seems like they're sort of rubbing it in our faces. I had no idea. I never heard it mentioned. I only know about it by doing research, by looking into it. But the 9/11 attacks were not the 59th anniversary or the 61st anniversary. They were the 60th anniversary of the construction of the Pentagon beginning. The construction began on 9/11, 1941 and ended in January 26th, I believe, 1943, roughly 14 months later. If you believe that story, please tell me. It took them a year to fix the damage from the 9/11 attacks in the one little section. They built the whole thing in 1940s, early 40s, in 14 months. 15 months if you include planning, because it only took them about a month to plan for it. They selected the spot, they selected the location 9 days before construction started. Because that makes sense, right? Please, somebody tell me how any of this makes sense outside of conspiracy. You be like, yeah, no, 1940s construction technology was way more advanced than we are today. Let's just put it that way. What's up, open-minded? Open-minded. It would be one thing if I was sitting here like, you know, I don't know, halfies are superior. We need to form a militia and rise up and overthrow our local government. And, you know, that would be one thing. You know, there's a comet coming, and on that comet is our ticket to fucking immortality. They're gonna take us on their trip with them. Come, cut your penis off and be in my group. Like, that would be one thing. If I was saying shit like that, I'd get the you know, the hesitation. I'd get the shit talk. But at the end of the day, I'm talking about killing pedophiles and overthrowing the, friar chosen control scheme that everybody knows exists. Who controls Hollywood? You know. Who controls the money? You know. Who controls the government? You know. We all know this shit, yet we don't talk about it. We all know we're not supposed to talk about it. And I'm sick of that shit. You know, at the very least, let's talk about it so I can know that I'm wrong, and then it doesn't keep me up at night thinking about it. I can move the fuck on. Tell me what I'm wrong about, and I'll move on. You know, this is the culmination of decades. For me to be in this realm for as long as I've been in it, and doing all of the, you know, the lives every day, and all of the things that have happened, and, you know, all that, for me to be focused on such a, you know, small portion of it, instead of, then there's this, and there's this, and there's this conspiracy, and that conspiracy, and, you know, I can talk about other things, but I'm focused on this one part. That's what all of it is all of the information is funneled down into this one, cut the head off the monster. Instead of all those multiple tentacles sticking out, we just cut the head off the monster, and all the tentacles die. I didn't get here overnight. I grew up in the exact same system that all of you did. Except I was different because I was the only halfie in a time when there weren't halfies everywhere like there are now. But I was the only halfie I knew or anyone else knew. And of course I didn't believe in Jesus. And that always makes you a strange outcast in our society. But being the outcast, being the good-looking halfy boy who the girls liked, which made the boys like me even worse, but especially when I would beat them at things I shouldn't beat them in sports-wise, because I was small and skinny, so why should I be able to beat them like I do? Why am I also really, really smart and scoring 100% on the MEP tests, the math and reading portion, and 97% in the science because I missed like 1 or 2 questions? I was one of 3 kids. Me and another kid scored the same, and one kid got it 100% right. And I was pissed. But we got letters from the governor and all that other. We went on the watch list, so to speak. But I've always been this strange outcast growing up in the same scenario that you guys grew up in. So when 9/11 happened, I was scared of the Arabs too. You know. And really it was 9/11, it was 5 years later when they finally started releasing the footage, and immediately people started making loose change videos and thermite videos, and just showing things that you didn't know existed. That's my Achilles heel, right? If I believe something and then you show me that I'm wrong, well, I can't believe it anymore. When I was in California, I was one of the door-to-door meat guys that come by and tell you that, I had a delivery to a local steakhouse. They ordered too much. My boss said, I can sell this to you guys for the discount rate. Would you like to buy some restaurant quality steaks? You know those slimy fucks that come by in the pickup trucks? Well, I was one of the best. Because despite what it was, I thought it was a decent deal. And then one day, we would always take the meat home. We would always, steal it, or, just take some home. You take a steak out of the packaging, and then sell it or whatever. We're meat guys, right? One day I got some hamburgers, some of them steak burgers. Now remember, those freezers aren't plugged in. They have a big old block of dry ice inside them. That's what keeps the freezers cold throughout the day. And by the end of the day, it's all gone. And on those really hot days, shit starts to thaw a little bit. And all they do is put it in when you come in at the end of the day, you put your boxes back in the real freezers, and it just freezes again. So everybody knows you shouldn't thaw meat and freeze it and thaw it and freeze it. And it's not a good thing to do, but that's never buy meat off the back of a truck. Let me just, if there's anything you're going to take from me in this video, yes, the fuck Israel's, and yes, to stop the pedophilia shit, blah, blah, blah. Don't buy meat off the back of a truck. Take it from somebody that sold it. Don't buy it. It's shit. The steaks are pressed into the shapes that they're in. They take all the carvings from real steaks, from slaughterhouses, and they press it into the shape. It's not the steak that you think it is. It's not the quality Delmonico it's a pressed steak. It's disgusting. Don't buy it. But I took some of the hamburgers home, and I got sicker than I probably almost died. Who knows if I had E. coli or what, but and who knows if it wasn't my lifestyle that kept me alive. But this was in July in San Diego, and I was in my apartment in multiple layers of clothes with blankets on me, freezing for maybe 2 weeks. I was so fucking sick. It was unreal. Like, if I was an elderly person or I was a child, I would have absolutely not survived that. And once that I knew that about the product, I couldn't sell it anymore. I came back to work and I tried, and I probably quit a week later. Because I just couldn't honestly sell anything. It's probably even less than that. I couldn't sell things to people knowing that there was a chance that they could get that sick. But the point being, I can only convincingly do something, believe something, until I'm shown otherwise. And once I'm shown otherwise, I'm not the type of person that just continues to believe because I have faith. Never mind the lack of evidence or the evidence against. I have faith my thing is true because of reasons. I don't even know why. I'm a Christian and I can't even tell you why. But I have faith. Like, I'm not that kind of asshole. I never realized my name said opened, lol. Go changed it to open now. That's hilarious. That's fucking hilarious. That's fucking funny. So, we were at the J Federations of North America, the Friar Federations, and how they raise and distribute over $2 billion annually, including through planned giving and endowment programs to support social welfare, social services, and educational needs. Have you ever in your life heard a redneck, heard a conservative, heard, whoever complaining about the friar social welfare programs and how all these damn friars are on welfare, popping out babies and collecting checks? You ever hear that stereotype associated with friars? The answer is no. That one, unfairly is majority black people, black women. Although, it's a numbers game. Black people make up 13% of the population. White people make up 69% of the population, unless you're racist enough to say that the white people with Hispanic in their backgrounds who consider themselves white, they're not white, then it's only 55% of the population. But either way, other than black on black crime, white people do everything more than anyone else. Everything more than black people. There are more white people on welfare. There are more white people killed by police. There are more white people in prison. Well, maybe not in prison. I don't know. But there are more white people that do everything way, way more. It's just straight numbers. 69% is going to do way more than 13%, especially when, it's only about 4%, 5% of that 13% that are the young, scary black males that terrify you, And you hear people say dumb shit like, what are you talking about, man? White people are killed by police 61% of the time. Black people are only killed 33% of the time. White people are killed way more. You go, yeah, and they should be, because again, 69% of the population being killed 61% of the time isn't alarming. 13% of the population being killed 31% of the time is frightening, is terrifying. What the fuck are we talking about? Maybe that's better. Yeah, that's better. But this is the part where it's always left out of the equation, right? Unfortunately, you are always right. Sign up. I had street me and who gives a fuck? And you're right. It is unfortunate that I'm right. It's very unfortunate. I wish I wasn't right about this shit. When the October 7th false flag happened and no Israelis were killed or taken hostage, and I had been telling you that exact thing was going to happen by December of 2023. Since maybe March, April, maybe May, I don't know. But at some point earlier in the year, I figured it out. And I said it was coming. And I said, I will quit doing this if they don't do that exact thing by December of 2023. I staked everything on it. And I was right. And it wasn't a I'm right, I told you so, blah, blah, blah situation. It was like, God damn it, you know. I was actually sort of looking forward to retirement. I wanted to be wrong. And literally anything else could have happened. This is needle in a haystack shit. This is bullseye on top of a bullseye kind of shit. You know? It could have only went one way for me to be right. It did. And not only did it did it before I had even, earlier than expected. And, I mean, I guess I would say to an extreme I hadn't expected, but, knew that the genocide was coming, knew that what was going to happen, but you couldn't have pictured what Gaza looks like now back then. You didn't have that frame of reference. I have never seen anything in my life that resembles what I'm shown Gaza looks like. Especially them carving stars into the ground so the satellite pictures can see, signing it, their Star David signs with tank tracks and shit. Like, this is just horrendous. And of course, it directly ties into the Bottom of Darkness Israel Hayom article I have in the description. All you have to do is click on it. And then you have to keep clicking on it and keep going back, because this is the one article that the page will keep kicking you off of. I just read an article today on Israel Hayom, and there was no... The initial ad popped up, but after that it was fine. It didn't kick me off or anything. But this article, it explains the unexplainable, right? Because it's unfathomable how an entire population can be so entitled and merciless and compassionless and just awful, just straight up awful human beings, ugly, spitting on people, and just how? Like, how does it? How? But when you understand that the vast majority of them were violently, ritualistically, sexually abused as children, and then as adults, or as older teenagers, not adults, adults in their world, but I guess anything over 13 would make, because they're adults at 13, they were forced to do the same thing to children themselves. All based in redemption and transcendence and all that shit, and brainwashing, just insane religious brainwashing. They're the chosen, they're this, that, and the other. Like, it's really, really horrific. And I'd read that article every day if I could. Because it would just take so long, it's so difficult, and because it just keeps kicking you out. It's such a difficult thing. I've never experienced anything where the page itself makes it difficult for you to read what they present to you. It's just really... I don't like saying it doesn't make sense, because everything makes sense when you change your perspective. But from the perspective that we have, that everything just works this way, it makes no sense. This is to me the most important article ever written. And go figure, as I start talking about it and connecting it all, my numbers drop down to 3. I'll be at 0 in a minute. Please, like, share, and sub, guys. Help out. I used to be mad when I would get 4,000 views. 3,000 views. It wasn't good enough, because I was used to getting 8,000, 10,000 views. And that was 6 months ago. My feed has been crippled since the Kirk shooting. Literally, the day after the Kirk shooting, I've only been able to crack 1,000 views like 3-4 times. Was regularly over 1,000 views. Like every video was almost every video that wasn't being interfered with was over 1,000 views. Now the videos where the comment section gets shut off or weird shit, whatever weird shit starts happening, well, I would reset those. But any video I actually did, at least would get 2,000 views, at least. Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed is it's been more and more obvious. I'm just more and more right by the day. The Kirk shooting put me on a pedestal. Damn it! I told you from the beginning, and it's strange that I'm the only one that seems to have this particular take. There are people that talk about Israel, did Charlie Kirk, Kirked him, but nobody's connecting the dots that Israel created him. They created him to be Kirked, to be sacrificed at the chosen time. Putting that last piece together, and I don't understand. To me, that's the most obvious aspect of it all. But that's because I allow myself to see things without the restrictions. Because the truth is, they're not going to sacrifice one of their own unless they violate or unless it's absolutely necessary. But if they can get away with sacrificing one of us and it acts in their favor, believe me, they're going to do that instead. The Charlie Kirk Angel video is probably the most distasteful, disrespectful video I think I've ever seen. And I cannot believe that I'd say they got away with it, but it's virtually scrubbed from the internet, and it went away. So there was obviously a ton of backlash. Even though they don't reference part of shadow banning, not only hard to find videos, but also manipulates view counts, like counts, and here come the bots, educational purposes only. Do you think? And I get what you're saying, and that's exactly what I showed you guys earlier. That's what Team Jorge is. That's what act.il is. And then multiple other avenues of it. There is a huge... There's a monster effort to manipulate social media. You just saw the video where bitch-ass piece of shit Netanyahu is sitting there talking about the most important acquisition is happening right now. And what is it? Class. He called the fucking other adults in the room, the professionals, class, like he's the teacher. And he was like, and they said, X was purchased. Or TikTok, one of the, whatever. And he's like, and the second one is coming, and that it's either X was purchased and then TikTok, or TikTok then X, whatever, I don't remember. Naftali Bennett, when he was in office, so from 2019 to 2022, Israel had 6 prime ministers. Started with Netanyahu. All these indictment charges and shit came up, so then the distraction had to take place. So then he loses to Benny Gantz, Defense Minister Benny Gantz. But they say there's fuckery with the election, so now Netanyahu is reinstated.
Don't eat it.
That's 3.
Watch it.
Yeah, right. then they have another one of these bullshit elections where Naftali Bennett, the guy who admitted to controlling Wikipedia, he wins. And now the only difference between him and Netanyahu is that he was on the side that, let the Americans, let the Goyim fight the battles. The chosen people should live their lives in study, live their lives how they want to, not have to serve. Where Netanyahu's platform was that every Israeli at 18 had to serve. And the brilliance behind it is really something that you didn't see until very recently. Where you kind of go, well, wait, why would they force all of their people to serve in the military at 18? But recently, when they passed the resolutions or whatever it was, the legislation, that the United States pays for any service people's retirements and health care and all that shit that was rolled into that, now you see the brilliance of Netanyahu's scheme. Because that essentially means we have to pay for all of their lives, all of their health care, all of their... That's why they all have to serve at 18. Oh, just suddenly dropped to 3 views. Now 7. Nope, back to 2. But this is the manipulation that we're talking about. It's so deep, and it's so, I don't want to say complex. It's intricate, but it's not like difficult. It's not like complex, like you can't figure it out. It's actually really simple. And one of the best weapons, the things that they've done with the conspiracy, is convinced people that the conspiracy is so complicated, you have to really know, you have to dig deep, you have to know. It's really, really complicated, so the average person's not going to be able to grasp it. Just like Jesus. When the reality is, it's super simple. There's a cult that controls things that is physically and mentally inferior. And yet they live the position of privilege. And even their book says that if we ever find out what they're doing, we will rise up and kill every last one of them. So you can't, rule number 1, don't talk about Fight Club. Rule number 1, don't talk about Talmud. They know these things. They have to have us manipulated and stupid. Otherwise, their narratives just don't work. It doesn't. If you're not dumb enough, if you're not so manipulated and stupid that you believe in Sky Daddy, well, then you're not going to believe. If you don't believe in the Sky Daddy, then you're not going to believe the other shit they present to you. But if they can trick you into believing in Sky Daddy, what the fuck won't you believe? They have you believing in like the foundation of who you are as a person. I am a Christian. And it's all based on some bullshit hearsay from a couple thousand years ago, and literally nothing that you've experienced. You get the arrogant weirdos who will be like, oh yeah, well, I had a sick kid, and they were going downhill, and the doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with them, and they told us we needed to make peace, and so I said a prayer, and at the last minute the doctor came running in and said, hey, let's try this. He suddenly remembered this, and it worked, and it blah blah blah, and it's like, you'd been praying the whole time. What are you talking about? Are you saying you hadn't been praying up until that point, and then finally you prayed and that's what happened. And even if that did happen, right? That's called coincidence. You can't arrogantly believe that most of the time God just lets the people die, but for some reason was like, okay, you can have the antidote. Like it's all based in so much arrogance. It's crazy how such a purposefully manipulated, manufactured, insecure population can be so arrogant at the same time. I love when you point this shit out. Which part? This stuff is all, it's all like right here, you guys. The fact that you can hear me saying these things and you don't have a rebuttal. The only thing you can come up with is, oh, fuck this guy, he's crazy. That should tell you something. The prayer stuff. The prayer stuff is ridiculous, man. It's so arrogant. It's so fucking arrogant. You believe that God has a plan and that God is just, you know, he's just doing this. He's just, this is the way it's going. It's a train going down the tracks. And, you know, you're praying, but it's just not enough. And really, God doesn't answer prayers. What does God answer? Tithings. God doesn't answer prayers. God wants money. God answers tithings. So to think that I guess you tithe enough, that God goes, yeah, you know what? Okay, I was going to kill you, but you tithed and then you asked me and I'm going to change my plan for you, is so goddamn arrogant, especially when you compare it to all of the Christians in Palestine who are not only praying that the bombs don't hit them again, destroy the tent that they're in because the bombs already destroyed their house and infrastructure, but that they please get some food that isn't laced with drugs or poison or whatever, or they don't get shot while trying to get the food, or but they're praying every day that this situation gets better, and your God's just like, nope, I'm busy getting this guy the fucking the job he wanted. I'm busy getting this person some medicine. Sorry, little kids starving to death. Maybe if it wasn't my chosen people doing it to you, I'd step in. But those are my chosen people. What the fuck? Leah Bia! I usually do, Leah. I usually do. It's so arrogant. It doesn't matter what version of Christianity you believe in, whether it's Islam or it's, you know, Mormons, or it's you're a spiritual person, right? And this one's tough. This one hits close to home because my wife is one of these people. You know, she's somebody that believes. Leah, I know Leah is one of these people. Although I guess Leah's kind of a Christian too. I don't really know, but the people who consider themselves pagans or Wiccan, and they believe in astrology, and they believe rocks have powers and stuff like that. You're basically talking about the same thing. You're talking about a God, a universal energy that connects everything and bonds everyone, and you can tap into it and all that. Why is that thing allowing the Palestinian children to be massacred? Why is that thing allowing us to all be made into these, you know, poor, struggling slaves to this system that pits us against each other and manufactures all of the discontent and the destruction and all of it. It's all manufactured. Why does the thing let that happen? How can we all just accept that idea that well, it's this God's plan, it's God's way? I mean, I get why Christianity was given to us. Don't speak out against things. Be happy with what you get. Don't covet thy neighbor's goods. Don't look at somebody else's stuff and be like, oh, hey, that looks like a nice TV. I want that TV. Be happy with the TV you have. Don't see us living this great life and think, I want a great life like that. Be happy with the life that you have. I get why it's manipulated that way. But it's strange how it's like all of my wife's spiritual friends and all that, they all believe in the bad shit that's happened is all part of some test and some strength and some this, that, and the other. It's like, no, you just made bad decisions. You made bad decisions because you're not thinking correctly, and you need to adjust the way you're thinking. It's really that simple. I look at my wife has this friar psychiatrist broad that she likes. I told this story yesterday or the day before, but she does like these scientific breakdowns of emotions and I don't know, like issues and shit, right? And she talks about how, like, when you get upset, the cortisol does this and your brain does that. And she has this one thing where she says, when you get to that point where your anxiety is flaring and you're freaking out and blah, 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 put your arms up like this and start stomping around and screaming like a T-Rex. Make T-Rex noises and start screaming. And she's like, and that will release your brain and that will do that. And it's like, it doesn't matter what the fuck you do. If you're in a position where your anxiety is flaring and you're upset and you're all these things, and you stop and start acting silly, doesn't matter what you do. That, of course, that's going to break the tension and, but nobody who has anxiety, who is all upset and has been pushed to that point, is going to then stop and start acting like a T-Rex. And even if they did in our society, that wouldn't be acceptable. You'd get laughed at. You'd get, you might get arrested. If people think they've got a savior, they will sit back and do nothing. Exactly. And especially if you accept the idea of a devil, that there's a devil with all of these magic superpowers that is manipulating all of the bad. Well, as humans, we're never going to be able to defeat the devil. The devil is magical. It's got fucking magic, man. Fire and brimstone and pitchforks and minions and all the scary fire. But if you accept the idea that there's a super villain, the only way that you can actually be saved, doesn't matter what you do, is by a superhero. So by accepting the devil, you immediately accept that the only way it's going to get fixed is by Jesus. It's just the negative feedback loop thing. Yeah, I learned all about that stuff too, man. True, but yeah, what you say, limbic system, neutral training. But the thing is, well, with that, it's like, how about instead of what do you do when your anxiety is flying? Why is your anxiety? Why did whatever was happening get you to the point where you need to go T-Rex? What was said to you that has you so upset? Because if somebody said to you that your big giant red afro is driving them crazy, you just laugh at them like, I don't know what the fuck you're even talking about. I don't have a big red afro. So whatever somebody was saying that has you upset, the only reason you're upset is because there's truth behind whatever they're saying. And you're just not really willing to deal with it. Nobody gets you upset, saying crazy shit. No one gets you upset complimenting you. Man, you did such a great job on this. Hey, fuck you, buddy. Most of us don't have a strong inner core, though. Most of us have been taught to put our responsibility and our accountability on magical fairies. The good stuff was God and the bad stuff was the devil. I didn't do it. It's amazing, and how long do you think it would take to come up with and implement such a well-crafted narrative control scheme? I mean, it really does. Like there's parts of this that have to go back, and this is where the Tartaria stuff comes into play, because you like, if you're into Tartaria narrative, you can explain all of the other stuff. And a lot of it can be explained by lies, ChatGPT narratives and lies and bullshit. But when you're on the other side, you can't explain the Tartaria narrative, because you believe the narrative that we're told about history and Alexander the Great and George Washington and Benjamin Franklin and all these other characters from our past. You believe that narrative. So if you believe that narrative, how do you account for the oldest pictures in the world of cityscapes show completed buildings with no people in them? How do you explain the architecture that exists all over the world? Especially when the population numbers that are given to us show that pre-1700s, there's like nobody on Earth. If you do the numbers, if you do the math that they provide you, and you follow the trend, I think it was every 66 years the population dropped by 69% or something like that. So if you just keep doing that backwards and backwards, by the time you get to around 500, there's nobody. It goes down to zero. What's his name? My Lunch Break did a really, really great video on this, and I highly suggest you go watch that video. Population zero. Oh, look, Jeff Goldberg's here. The dumb piece of shit pedophile friar. And no, Ben Franklin did not exist. None of those characters existed. It's all just ChatGPT style nonsense. Whether it's actually ChatGPT or not, that's to be said, but they've had the ChatGPT technology for a lot longer than it's said. But there's actual, like, unlike your fucking dumbass Bible, your dumbass Quran, your dumbass Talmud, unlike all of the dumbass narratives, your George Washingtons, your this, there's photographic evidence, and you can go find it today. You can leave your house and drive, I don't know, depending on where you are, probably within 20 miles of wherever you are. You can find some old world fucking buildings that don't make no sense other than we're being lied to. And that's just that it completes that circle. And none of them seem willing to say it. Everybody talks about the group that either survived the last reset or were uploaded into the system to control the next population. People don't think about it that way. This being a reality TV show. And every time we figure it all out, they reset us. Now I'm doing something that nobody else is doing, which is explaining why and how the resets happen. Because it's manufactured, because the thing we live in is manufactured. Our reality is manufactured. Tesla, if you believe he existed, even said something similar. He just didn't, there was no base for it. We didn't have TV back then. But he said that our existence is this enclosed field with all of these strange signals flying everywhere. Well, he didn't have reality TV. He didn't know about television in general, so he couldn't say because it's all a big television show. I am 100% pro-abortion. Yes, God created reality. Yeah, what created God? God created God. Okay, shh. This is the big boy table. Go sit back at the kiddie table. No. The friars, the chosen, created God. It's all part of the control narrative. It's simply all it is. If you keep the population stupid, then we're entertaining. Once we start figuring things out and we get to that point where every house we build is miraculous, all the buildings, they still exist today. You know, we're flying around, we're doing all these insane things that history records, but you just have to know where to look. You know, once we get to that unified point, because we couldn't be that society. We couldn't be the society that builds star forts all over the world. Same technology. That is completely unexplainable by today's standards. We don't do that unless we're a completely unified society. And the only way we're a unified society is if we overthrow the people that are dividing us. And that's the chosen. But see, the issue with this is knowing that they keep us in this perpetual position to maintain our existence. Because if we don't, then we get reset. You know, the backbone of any TV show, of any form of entertainment, is conflict. You need to have conflict in order to be entertained. And that goes down to you sitting on your phone, playing your video games to pass time. You know, will I die? Will I win? The conflict. There's not a damn thing that anyone watches on TV that doesn't have conflict. Everything is conflict-based. Sesame Street is conflict-based. Will the round peg fit in the square hole? Ooh, no. It has to be full of conflict in order to be entertaining to the watchers. That's why our system, our government, our unified one world government continuously makes decisions that none of us would make. It's right there. that explains all of the unexplainable, while also not overlooking anything. Because most belief structures, you have to overlook some shit. If you believe in Jesus, well then you don't believe that we went to the moon, do you? Although, you all do. Yeah. If you believe in Jesus, you definitely don't believe in the James Webb Space Telescope, do you? You don't believe in dinosaurs, do you? Speaking of the what's happening with the manipulation and the belief, the other part that I'm seeing so much of now, the people that are talking about Israel and the friars, they keep trying to associate transgender and gay to the friar occupation of Germany, which is what Mustache Man was opposing. And so you can see how there's still these certain manipulations. You can't blame the whole cult. And then, the Christian part of things. And then there's this, it's anti-transgender too, anti-gay. I'm seeing this among all of them, whether it's Fuentes, whether it's Dan Blazarian or any of them, because there's this story. Maybe it's the first documented story of studying transgender or some shit. I don't even really know. But the ignorance in assuming that transgender is something that was manufactured in Germany by that part is so goddamn stupid. It's disgusting how it doesn't matter, like how what people say truthfully. At the end of the day, like especially all of the truthers I named off, they all still believe in Jesus. They all still believe in Christianity. They all still have the bigotry towards gay and trans people. Get out of here. And the thing is, the divide between gay, trans, and straight, LGBTQ plus 16, 25, 92. This is two huge parts of our population. Whether you're gay, trans, or maybe your kid is, or your brother or sister is, or your cousin whatever. This is a really significant way to divide the resistance. Because instead of us being a straight and gay trans unified front against our common enemy, people are distracted by dudes in a dress. It's so obvious. It's so clear the agenda that people are, there's a trans agenda. Yeah, the agenda is to use it against you. Nobody can tell me. I've been asking another question for years. What about gay are you opposed to? And literally, other than, the Bible, which they don't fucking know. They say things like, it's the Bible says, but they don't know what the Bible fucking says. Anyone dumb enough to quote Sodom and Gomorrah just again feeds the beast. Because if you are a Sodom and Gomorrah supporter, you don't know the narrative. No one was gay in that narrative. Not until God, apparently, made everyone very selectively gay. They weren't like, it wasn't like a big gay orgy broke out. They all just wanted to fuck these two angels that they somehow knew were there. It's demonic and Masonic. What is demonic and Masonic? Oh my God, you should see Cow and Dave laying together.
Oh, I know, on the first chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a bunch of pictures. They've been doing it.
Like, if the thing that people try to sort of suggest is that there's some sort of choice happening, that people aren't just born the way they are. Oh, okay. Let's see what it does. The only way you could possibly think that gay or trans is a choice is because it's a choice for you. You have gay and trans stuff or trans stuff in your head that you choose not to act on. And so you wonder why other people don't make the same choice you make. Because for me, I totally understand gay. Right? You have to be gay to think a fucking man, a penis especially, is attractive. Like, I know what an attractive man looks like. I'm not a fucking idiot. But I'm not attracted to said man. I'll lose my shit, my charger. Ooh. If you think that gay is anything other than gay, that's just what the fuck you are. You're a moron.
Oh, no, it's totally a choice. People choose.
It is for them. I think they're right. I think it absolutely is a choice for them. What's up, Prowa? I got the Prowa. Move, dog. Oy vey. Go, get out of my face. Get out of my face, dog. Go on, get out of my face. You know, the gay stuff is just such a weird, the bigotry and all that. Because you can't ever get somebody to actually give you a, quote, straight answer. Ask anybody who's a bigot in that department, why do you hate gay and trans? Exactly, that's a choice. Gloss over it. What? I don't know what you mean there. Oh, it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to keep my feed. It's okay. I'm almost done. It's weird. If I let it get like too low, it won't charge while I'm on. It'll just keep going down. Like your mom. Oh! Oh, no. That time it went up. All right. Maybe it'll stay. Yeah. Like, see, right here, you know that this person is a dumb bigot. But because they can't make any reasonable arguments, they say just dumb shit, trying to get attention, If I'm wrong about gay stuff, then why don't you just say what I'm wrong about? It just seems like it's such an obvious, question answer type situation. Just say what's wrong. shouldn't be that difficult since I am wrong, right? If I'm wrong, then telling me how I'm wrong shouldn't be such a problem. And this is the thing I don't know how to fix it. You know, I wonder, do these people, if they had a kid and the kid ended up gay, what would they do? Your kid ends up gay. One day comes to you and says, Dad, I want to do a drag show. I want to dress up like a girl and strut my stuff on the runway. Specific want that I know I've never had. So I would imagine if your kid has that want, it's because it's inside them. I can tell you this. One time in like 8th grade, I think. 7th or 8th grade, but 8th grade, I think. Maybe it was 7th grade. It was dress up like your parent for work day. And, you know, I was like, well, my dad doesn't have a job, so I thought it would be funny to dress up like my mom. And of course, my dumbass mom was like, oh, that's so great, blah, blah, blah. So at that time, we were about the same size, so I could squeeze into her clothes. And she put makeup on me and, and I went to school that day. I think I even had a pair of her shoes. And I thought it was so funny. And it only took about a half hour or so before I was like, nobody else thinks this is funny. Like this, I look fucking weird. And I was so uncomfortable. It was the worst fucking day that the pantyhose was so bad. Because my mom went all out. Like she was like, yay. Yay, this is a good thing. And I remember washing the makeup off my face, or at least trying to. I didn't know how to do it. And I don't even know if I had I didn't have a spare set of clothes. And I remember it being such a long, miserable, embarrassing fucking day. And there's no way a dude puts himself in that situation unless that's who he is. That's who you are on the inside. Because nothing about that, being a woman other than the free drinks and shit sounds good to me. And knowing firsthand what their clothes feel like and shit, it's so uncomfortable. So to think that somebody is just out there living their life as a trans person because they're just making some choice because I guess I can't imagine why anybody would want to make that choice in our society. You're going to deal with discrimination. You're going to deal with looks. You're going to deal with mistreatment. You're going to deal with, potential danger and shit. Like, what is the benefit to making that choice? What is the benefit to being like, you know what? Everybody teases me because I'm not good at sports and I'm really effeminate. And as much as I like girls, no girls are gonna like me. I'm kind of wiry and frail and whatever. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna start putting penises in my mouth. That'll make people like me. Nobody does that. It's never a popular thing to be like, oh, I'm gay. Like, that doesn't work that way. Especially if you ever have any desire to, have a straight situation, a situation where the girls like you, whatnot. You go around saying you're gay, you can kiss that goodbye. So stupid. There are mentions of gay and trans people forever in the historical narrative were given. And what do you think could be done to you personally? To what chemical alterations? How much prayer? How much environmental stimulation? What do you think could be done to you to make you go, hey, you know what? That penis, that looks pretty good. I'm going to stick that in my mouth and butt. What do you think could change that in you? Like, it's just so stupid. It's such a stupid distraction that literally does not matter. The whole super racist Joan Rivers created narrative that Michelle is a man and Obama's a gay guy all comes from Joan Rivers, right? Let's just say it's true. What would it matter? If it was true, but they had to hide it because, we live in such a racist, redneck, disgusting society. But then it comes to find out that it's true. Well, how does that change anything about the presidency? Wouldn't that only disprove the stereotype that those people wouldn't be able to handle the situation very well? Absolutely wondering. It's no wonder nobody went to her funeral. Joan Rivers is one of the most overrated comedians of all time. She's not funny. She's typical chosen funny. Like, she's funny in the way they think it's funny. Where you say, like, obnoxious, sort of shocking things. It's not the funny, like the Dave Chappelle funny that makes you, question your own perspectives and question things. And, it's not genius funny. It's not Bill Burr kind of funny. And when it's a goyim that makes it to a high level of success in the comedy field, it's because they were truly funny. Patrice O'Neal is easily the most underrated comedian of all time, but like one of the biggest losses. Just I would love to hear what Patrice O'Neal would be saying today. Just insults people for a living. Like Don Rickles. Don Rickles is easily one of the worst comedians of all time. And I talk about this all the time, but there was the 80s, 90s thing, Comic Relief, where Billy Crystal and Robin Williams and Whoopi Goldberg would host this comedy mega tour show thing that would raise money for homelessness or whatever. And they would have a bunch of different comedians come on, and they were the hosts, and they'd raise a lot of money. And one of the special guests people was Don Rickles one year. And so Don Rickles walks out, and everybody's cheering, and he goes to start talking, and his mic doesn't work. And he tries to turn it on and off, and it doesn't work. And so a black stagehand comes out to bring him a new mic, and he walks over and he grabs the mic from him, and he turns and he walks away, and he gets about 5 steps away, and he turns like he forgot that he had the broken mic in his hand too. So he turns and he throws the mic off this, throws and goes, "Go fetch," and throws it. And everybody does that laugh boo thing. And he goes, What? I talk about everybody. I talk I talk about the black man. I talk about the Jewish man. Well, not so much the Jew, but and you see it with guys like Ari Shafir and all of the comedians that are in that ilk where all they do is insult people. Even Joan Rivers, right? Where they say horrible shit about everyone else. And then when it comes to sort of evening things out, because they make fun of the friars as well, they make jokes about how rich they are or how smart they are, you know, or how they have the power and shit like that. But it's never, you know, talking about what horrible people they are. Don Rickles is just a horrible piece of shit. and he's not funny. And you see that over and over again. They aren't funny. Seinfeld was okay, but they're only funny in their comedy style. They're only funny in the way that they think is funny. And again, it's usually like another great example is the Opie and Andy shit, right? Opie and Andy, they had their position because of Patrice. And you would see, you know, the way the dynamic was Patrice was like the god to them. And they would just, you know, anything they would get him talking, and they'd want his advice on things, and they want his perspective. And he'd be cracking everybody up, and then they would chime in and say something like off the fucking wall, disgusting, some dumb dick joke or something like that. And that would be their contribution. They're never like these people, get away from me, that are all go, that are all introspective and make you think about things and make you question things. They don't do that. It's only the goyim that can climb through the ranks and get to the point where they're undeniably funny, so they're on TV and they can make money off of them. I love working every morning that week. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm funny. Just like musicals. How many people like fucking musicals? How many people think West Side Story is just this great fucking shit? And the idea that gang members are these really effeminate gay guys who just start breaking into song and everybody knows the words and they all know the dance moves. Who likes that shit? You know, I like Mary Poppins because of like nostalgic purposes. And when I was a kid, I watched Mary Poppins. But all those other, like West Side Story, man, that would be torture for me to have to watch that shit. I've never seen it. Grease is another one of those movies that has like the nostalgic thing. But I think today, as the man I am today, you know, not sitting there watching it with high school girls or whatever, I'm not going to enjoy it nearly as much as when I was a kid. It does have that nostalgic feel and whatever, but it's terrible. And all those musicals and you know, like if you've ever seen Fiddler on the Roof is terrible. Oh, it's such a terrible tradition. It's so terrible. The dude I ended up moving out to California with, he got the lead in the play, the senior play. He was Tetvia. And so I would go and watch rehearsals and shit. Me and my friends me and one of my other buddies would get stoned, and then we'd go to the school and watch them rehearse, and we just cause a fucking ruckus because we were idiots. But like I saw it firsthand, and it was just terrible. And when Patrice O'Neill got his own radio show, he was never paid for it and should have been. Patrice was amazing. Patrice's views on relationships and men and women and all that. He is such a prophet. He's such what the fuck are they called? God damn it. Like Socrates and shit. He's modern day, god damn it, the word is escaping me. Philosopher, that's what it is. These guys are philosophers. Dave Chappelle is a philosopher. Patrice O'Neill was a philosopher. You can build societies off of some of the shit that they would say. There's no in that in that category. Let's just say this video started out 3 hours ago about submarines. And you came into the video 3 hours later, and we weren't talking about submarines anymore. We were talking about much more important shit than whether or not I believe in submarines. And instead of you engaging in that conversation, you're like, "Dang, what about submarines?" Who does that? Who does that? If you really want to know about submarines, go look up Submarines Aren't Real Part 1 through 9. But you don't. You're just talking dumb shit. If you overlook the submarine thing, tell me what I'm wrong about. Go listen to the submarine videos, pick out which parts I'm wrong about, and debunk it. Pretty simple. It's just funny how people believe the things they want to believe. You have no evidence, no personal experience to show you that submarines are real. And yet, you believe it. Other than one video that I know of where it's clearly a model, and then another video where supposedly some scuba divers saw one of those glass bottom boats go underneath them. One of those, silly things that are attached to that. Like, there's more to it than just a boat going underwater. But other than that, you're not going to find any footage of submarines underwater anywhere. You'll find lots of footage inside the submarine underwater where the people don't move at all. They're just walking around, climbing up shit, climbing down shit, crashing through ice. Nobody's affected by the movement at all. But there's no footage of submarines underwater. Seems weird. And the footage of submarines surfacing or going down is just a fucking joke. Like the submarine descending. There's one video that I know of that shows it, it doesn't show it completely. It's definitely edited, but it at least attempts to show, like, kind of close up submarine above the water, and then it never does quite go all the way under, but it almost does. But it takes so long for the submarine to descend that the video is edited a bunch of times. And as it's descending, it's kicking out water and spray and a whole bunch of, hey, look over here. For what had to be several minutes, because they had to edit it. So that doesn't seem very feasible. And then, like, the other ones you'll see, like, or you'll see it when it ascends instead. So there's a video where it's supposedly a submarine is going to ascend, and it's just water sitting there, just water. And then suddenly the submarine just goes bloop, pops up and, like, bobs a little bit. How come it doesn't slowly go come out? How come it pops up like somebody let something go down below and it popped up? If you start thinking about submarines and you just, other than I saw Hunt for Red October, I saw that Steven Seagal movie. Which one is that? With Tommy Lee Jones. Other than those, you don't realize how stupid you're being. What you're saying you believe in. And none of you know the history of it. It's one of these pointless arguments. Because somebody will be dumb enough to bring up ballast tanks. Like that's never been brought up and like it makes any sense whatsoever. The ballast tanks argument is so much worse. Like you making it is worse than you realize. Because the ballast tanks, they would have to be computer run. And they would have to be consistently filling with water and pushing out water and all of these things, all in real time, microsecond sort of different things happening to keep the sub moving through the different layers and footage of water. Like it's just so stupid. But to think that's even possible, to think that you can fill 10% of the volume of a submarine with water, and that's somehow going to bring down all of that air, that enclosed, pressurized air. It's just such a stupid thing, and you don't realize it. If you throw a 2-liter into the water, you don't break the seal. It's a full 2-liter. You throw it in the water, it's not going to sink. That shit's 90% liquid. Do you know your human body is 70% water? That's what they tell you. My 200-pound, 70% water body will do everything it can to float if I have that much air inside me. This little compartment right here, full of air, keeps this entire 200-pound body that's 70% water, bones and muscle and shit, keeps all of that floating. 200 pounds floating. Just look, I'm on the top of the wall. The only way I can sink myself down is if, one, I put forth a ton of effort to sink to the bottom, and two, I blow out the air, the small bit of air in my lungs. I blow it out, and then I can sit on the bottom. Do you understand how much... they say the largest submarines are the size of 80 school buses. Do you understand how much, pressure and I want to say like will, force that would be trying to push that shit up to the surface? Do you know how much you would have to overcome to be able to keep a submarine that big just sitting there underwater, not moving, just sitting there? Simple weight won't do it. That's why freighters exist. You have one of those big freighters, those enormous freighters that you can't even fathom how big they are, with that are just stacked with thousands of containers. Those freighters are so fucking big. They're so fucking heavy. And yet the small space below the surface of the water, filled with air, keeps all of that afloat. Metal, extremely heavy. Way, 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 way heavier than any submarine. And yet for some reason you think if the submarine fills a couple of little ballast tanks with water, now all that giant airspace with pressurized air in it, 80 school buses worth, that also happens to have a nuclear power plant in it and a water desalination plant in it, all of that can just float around in the water, swim around, stay underwater. Some submarines can stay underwater for as long as 6 months. Really? Explain that one. It just doesn't make any sense. The amount of pressure that gets just stronger and stronger the deeper you go. If you've ever dove to the bottom of a 10-foot deep pool, as opposed to even a 12-foot deep pool, those extra 2 feet they really make your head feel like it's going to explode. By the time you get to 15, 20 feet deep, that's a difficult thing to do. Your body is fighting against you so much to go back up. A lot of times those divers, they have to, the world record divers have to have weights on them. There are free divers who can go down, but for the most part, the average person trying to swim down to the bottom of 20 feet isn't going to make it, one, before their air runs out, but two, without the extreme pressure just crushing on them. You can't imagine what the pressure is 100 feet down, 100 meters down, 300 meters below the surface. The pressure would just be so immense. And again, you have to have computers in place to constantly adjust the pressure on the inside of the sub pushing out, because the same amount of pressure that would be used to push out at 300 meters would explode the submarine at 200 meters. There would constantly have to be an adjustment of the pressure inside that only computers would be able to do. And the first nuclear submarine was invented in 55-ish. In 52, they decided they needed it. And by 55, Hyman Rickover had designed one. Do you understand how ridiculous that is? What do you think 1950s computers look like? How big do you think those things were? Trump is a fucking friar, James. What do you expect? He's a friar. I've been on board a Russian sub in San Diego Harbor, so why did they build that if they don't exist? They built a boat. You've been on board a boat. You did not take a submarine down 300 meters below the surface of the water. You went on a boat in a harbor. And do I think they have boats that can go beneath the surface of the water? Yes. They have boats that can go just under the surface? Sure. Do they have the capabilities they say they do? Do you know how they communicate submarines? You ever think about that? How does a submarine out in the middle of the fucking ocean, deep down, communicate with the bases and the rest of the military that are on land? Duh! How does the land communicate with the base? Oh, well, they run a big antenna out into the water. Well, then wouldn't everybody be able to pick up that shit? How do they see? Doesn't take too long before it's pitch black. So they're just, it's all sonar. Again, the amount of adjustments, computer adjustments, split-second decisions that would have to be made maneuvering something like that below the surface. We don't know what kind of rock formations are sticking up and, where land appears and big fucking whales and shit. You don't fucking know. But just because you went somewhere and saw something, you didn't see it doing the thing. You just believe that it can. Because they tell you it can. Because the last thing they want you doing is chartering a boat and trying to get out to the edge and seeing if there's an ice wall. I always refer back to this. If you've ever seen the movie Life, you understand. You guys ever seen that movie Life? There's in the beginning, at the end of the first act, if you will. Once they get arrested, they go through the court system and they get sent to the prison. There's a scene where the warden is giving his new prisoner speech. And Hoppin' Bob is there with his shotgun. And the warden says, "We ain't got no fences here at Camp 8. And Hottenbot says, we ain't got no fences here, boss. Tell them what we have, boss. What we have is the gun line. Tell them about the gun line, boss. And the gun line is the line that goes all the way around the camp. And if you step over that line, my friend Hop and Bob will be more than happy to put a bullet in your ass. They didn't have fences. All they had was the threat that if you cross the line, you get shot. And every once in a while, somebody crosses the line and they get shot. And that keeps everyone else in line. Remember in Clerks, when they were sitting back down below the register, and he had the bowl out, and it said, please make your change, be honest. And she was like, how do you know people will do it? And he said, this study shows that when people when in this kind of situation, people assume there must be a camera and that they're being watched. And when people think they're being watched, generally they're honest. Generally, they fall in line. Instead of just taking the fucking goods and taking the money that's in the tray for your advantage, no, you do what you're supposed to do. So if they tell you, hey, we have underwater capabilities like you wouldn't even fucking believe. Don't you go thinking you can get away from us. Don't you go crossing the gun line. And that's really it. That's why they have it. All I can say is don't believe everything you see on TV or in movies. So, see, isn't it funny how you're not actually arguing against any of the points I've made? How come you're not debunking what I'm saying? You're just going, well, you know what? I'm just going to have faith in it anyway. Simple, they use house phone, landline like they did with Richard Nixon and ring the astronauts on the moon. I mean, that's literally it. That's about as ridiculous as it is. Right? That's why you equalize the pressure on the way down. No, you don't. You have to. See, this is just weird because you'll say things. So what took thousands and thousands of pounds of shipping out of the World War II if the subs didn't exist? I don't even know what that question is. First of all, your perception of World War II is 100% manufactured. You have no fucking idea what happened in World War II other than what you've been told. And the one thing you've been told ad nauseum is the Holocaust hoax, which, if you look into it, it's not very real. And when it comes down to it, you don't believe Oswald shot Kennedy. And you don't believe that you should go out and get all of your vaccines and booster shots and all that shit. And you don't believe that Arab terrorists took down those buildings with three buildings with two planes and to hit the Pentagon. You don't believe these narratives. You believe your government is lying to you. And yet your arrogance comes into play when you say, yes, I, in my personal capabilities with the knowledge that I have, I can say that when my government tells me this, they're lying. But when they tell me this, it's true. And so you are believing something based on you just want to. And I get that you want to. But common sense will tell you contrary. I always tell people this. Next time you go to the beach or to a pool or something like that, take an empty 2-liter with you. Put the cap on and see how difficult it'll be to swim that thing down to the bottom of the fucking water, the deep part. See if you can even do it. I bet you can't even do it. I bet you it wants to go back up and shoot up out of the water so badly, you won't be able to do it. I bet you could put a few rocks in it and it won't sink. I bet you could fill it halfway with water, put the cap back on it, and it still won't sink all the way down to the bottom without you exerting a ton of effort on it. And once you stop, it's going to shoot back up. A small little 2-liter. If I was capsized in a boat and I had a 2-liter with a lid, I could survive. I could float on that 2-liter until hopefully somebody came and got me. A 2-liter. A 2-liter of air can keep this 200-pound body floating. What you're saying you believe ridiculous. That we can navigate through water, the amount of pressure, everything. And then look up the history of submarines. Are you saying you believe in the idea of oh, what the fuck? He's the greatest man in history, and I'm brain farting on his name. Drebel. Cornelius Drebel. The first submarine was made in 1620 by a guy called Cornelius Drebel, who none of you have heard of unless you've been on my page, and who is quite possibly the greatest man to ever exist. According to the narrative, he could make it thunder and lightning on command.
Sure he could.
Mm-hmm. Thunder and lightning on command. Have you ever heard of anyone else?
Thunder on command with your farts, baby.
Thunder, I can't. Have you ever heard of... Shut up. Have you ever heard of anyone else in history that was said to be able to make it thunder and lightning other than like Zeus? Have you ever heard of somebody being able to, and yet there is a guy who, according to the historical narrative, is said to be able to have made it thunder and lightning on command, and you've never heard of him. He's also the guy that invented the microscope. He's also the guy that invented air conditioning. He's also the guy that invented perpetual motion machines and clocks and fountains, and he invented thermostats. He invented a thermometer. Like, this guy invented so many fucking things and could make it thunder and lightning on command, and supposedly made a submarine out of wood that could go as much as 30 feet below the surface, stay underwater for 3 hours, carrying 16 passengers. And there would have had to have been lights inside, because how else would they see 30 feet below the surface? Inside of something. What you learn in school. Oh, and you know what else? See, isn't it funny how it doesn't matter, like, who they are? They can be the same. They can be on my side. As soon as I guyanize the thing that they like, they start saying the same shit. I know you can't argue this. I know you aren't prepared to actually have this argument or this discussion. And all I'm saying is, this is the facts. Do these facts make sense to you? Before you go getting into an argument along these lines, you should know your history. You should know that in 1850, they are said to have had a submarine that could go, 150 feet below the surface. Again, stay underwater for 3 hours. And had a hatch on the bottom that could open up, and they could harvest oysters and shit. And they had at least 2 runs of this thing, but because when they rapidly ascended, the people inside got really sick. They didn't understand about the bends. They didn't understand about that whole compression sickness thing. So apparently they just abandoned the sub on the side of the fucking side of the island. And then it was found and recommitted. But in 1850, they had a submarine that could go 150 feet below the surface and open a hatch. How could they see? What were they using to see? Who do you think they convinced to open the hatch? All right, man. Go ahead and open that hatch. We'll be safe. What do you mean open the hatch? The water's going to come in. No, there's the balancing effect. And as long as the sub doesn't tip even a little tiny bit, because the tiniest little bit of tipping would then make the water spill in and cause the fucking the death. What? What? What are you barking at? I thought it was the mail, but there's nothing there, you dumb dogs. Oh, there you go. That's how he knows all this. Yep, it's elementary school. That's why none of you know it. And again, what is your even argument here? Are you saying that what I'm saying is so ridiculous that you don't believe it? Because that's what I'm saying. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to think they had a submarine in 1850 that could travel 150 feet below and harvest oysters. And when you hear the narrative about the submarines, literally every single submarine ever designed failed. Failed and failed and failed and failed and failed. And then suddenly, somehow, the Germans figured it out in World War I with the U-boats. Which, again, were just boats that could go under the water. They weren't submarines. They were underwater boats, U-boats. But that's just the narrative we're given. We don't know how legitimate that is. And it doesn't matter whether you like this or you don't like this or whatever. Do you believe that in 1952, they decided they needed a nuclear submarine, and within 3 years or so, Hayom Rickover, a guy who was born Jewish but converted to Protestantism, whose story makes absolutely no fucking sense, who was one of the highest ranking admirals the Navy has ever had, and was only in command of a ship for like maybe 2 weeks or something like that, but it was retroactively said that he was in charge for like 3 months, even though it wasn't true. But he still had his entire narrative is as manufactured as it gets, just like all the other narratives you don't believe. But this guy, who didn't have any sort of engineering shit or anything, but he was just awesome like that, I guess. He somehow designs it so that a nuclear power plant is miniaturized along with a water desalination plant, because they can't use salt water. It has to be fresh water for some reason. They were able to miniaturize both of those things to fit inside of a nuclear submarine, along with all of the other shit in the 50s. Remember, all of the computer stuff that has to, all of that nuclear shit has to be handled by computers. All of the desalination stuff has to be handled by computers. The ballast tanks and shit has to be handled by computers. The pressure inside has to be handled by computers. What fucking computers did they have in the 50s? And if they could miniaturize a nuclear power plant to fit inside of a submarine in the 50s, why don't we all have tiny little handheld nuclear power plants at this point to power up an entire, each of our houses? If they could do that in the 50s, you don't think they would have continued to make that technology better and smaller? That here we are 75 years later, you don't think they would have significant improvements on that shit? You're a real tough dude when you know you can't get my hands on your sorry ass. Who are you talking to? You talking to Jeff? Are you talking to the goddamn dumbass friar? Why? Yeah, what are you doing? This is an admitted friar. Nothing he has to say matters. But this is why I don't do the submarine thing. Because every time I do, all of the big shit talkers avoid it. Now instead of having the conversation you wanted to have, you're gonna get in a fight with a dumb fucking friar bot. That makes sense. You can't ever say I didn't do the submarine thing because I do it all the time and it always works out the same way. You're not capable of having this discussion. And it's not a knock or an insult. It's a truth. It's like you don't know how to fucking trade stocks on the stock exchange like an expert. You could if you wanted to. If you wanted to learn, I'm sure you could learn how. But you don't just happen to have that skill. You don't happen to be a guy who is very great at making fucking doll houses out of matchboxes or out of matchbooks. Who fucking knows? You learn, but you're not that guy. You don't just happen to have all of this submarine knowledge. And you could spend the rest of the day looking into submarines and proving me wrong. So tomorrow you could come at me with, I can debunk everything you're saying. But guess what? You won't. Nobody ever does. This has been on the table for quite some time now, and nobody ever comes at me with any sort of real arguments. At the end of the day, you believe in submarines just like fucking, Christians believe in Jesus. Because you're told to. And it's all just some fear porn bullshit to keep you in line. But that's more than enough. I'm exhausted. I fucking hate doing this shit. I can't even tell you. I gotta get it out, but I hate doing it. Rest of my day is always fucked. If you guys think that I go water skiing after this or some shit, you're out of your fucking mind. Go check out all of the receipts in the description. There's the receipts for Hollywoodism, the greatest film ever made. You need to watch that. The Israel Hayom article, Bottom of Darkness. There's a link to that. That is the most important article ever written. And it's the foundation for everything else that comes from it. When you wonder how people can be such awful pieces of shit like Jeff, how you could just be a pedophile and not give a shit, how you can support genocide, how you can be so entitled. Well, that's my land because the book my people wrote says so. Who cares about those people that are already there? And we want that land. It's our land now. Starve them to death. Drop bombs on them. Who gives a shit? We're the victims here. You wonder how people can be that way. Well, Bottom of Darkness answers it. It's because as children, they were ritualistically sexually abused. And as teenagers, they were forced to do the same thing that was done to them to other children, to keep the cycle going. And when you understand that an entire community is based on ritualistic sexual abuse, you understand just how fucked up that community is. How detached and how just evil and incapable of doing the worst things because they don't have that conscience. That's what Bottom of Darkness explains. Bottom of Darkness is the key. It's the thing that exposes the why, the how. That's how they manipulate their own people. And if they can do that to their own, imagine what they can do to you, to your children. If they can sexually abuse their own children, what won't they do to you? Do you think they would spend hours a day crying on some guy's feed who's actually gives a shit about those children? Because they don't. You think that you would come on somebody's feed and tell them not to say this, not to expose this, stop talking about this? If you were really against it, would you do that? If you were against those kinds of things and you finally found somebody that actually is saying these things, wouldn't you support them? It's everywhere. Jeff knows it's true. Not only has he been violated, he's violated. They are disgusting, disgusting creatures. And Israel Hayom is Sheldon Adelson's baby. Israel Hayom isn't some fly-by-night magazine. It's Israel's #1 magazine. #1 free weekly propaganda piece. Billions and billions of dollars are put into that shit to push the propaganda. And there's nothing you can do to hide from it. There's nothing you can do to deny what I'm saying. See what I'm doing? Look at this. So Jeff's responses are, nobody cares. It's sad. I never violated you, guy, even though you asked me. Right? He's not saying, yeah, man, that shit is horrible. I can't believe it's so prominent. It makes our people look bad. We need to step up and do something. You're right. This is awful. This is a horrible thing. Just like Matitza Bapay, it needs to end. He doesn't say anything like that. Why? Because he's guilty. Anybody who isn't guilty would immediately be denying what I'm saying and denying it, be pissed off that I would accuse them and be, violently opposed to it. Fuck no, we need to do something about it. And the admitted friar Jeff does this every time. He has nothing negative to say about the proven. It's proven. And it's not anything you can hide behind. It's Israel Hayom. There's no goyim involved, even a little bit. And instead of taking the high road and saying the right things, 100% of the time, the worst of the characters that come through here and look at this. There's no denying the truth, he says. You see what I mean? There is no denying the truth. He's not going to deny the truth. And this happens 100% of the time with these people. They never, ever come in here and talk about how their tradition bullshit is less important than stopping the abuse of children. This is our second example of this, right? That doofus Joey guy from the other day, he did the same thing where, he walks into it. He has the option. He could say the right things. He could do the right things. And yet, by choice, nobody forced him to. He plays the role exactly as the guilty piece of shit, friar would do. This is the receipt. This is the example. You're not gonna come in here and be like, yeah, Guy Williams is right, blah blah. They're never gonna do that. You're not gonna find the government document that says Guy Williams is right, blah blah. It's not gonna work that way. It's DOOFUS. Doofus. Might be D, I don't know. They're never going to say anything like that because it's not in them. The only thing you're ever going to see, you're going to have to look through the read between the lines. You have to see what they're not saying just as much as what they are saying. And the fact that you have this fucking moron flat out, basically admitting that I'm right about all of this shit. It's everywhere. It's you have to. So like I always say, like I appreciate when they're stupid enough to out the whole community. You can't pretend like this is my shit. This isn't my story. This isn't my conclusion. This isn't my investigation that figured this out. Israel Hayom flat out told you this is what it is. And the fact that in April of 2025 that this article came out, not only was it not picked up by worldwide media, but they all know it. Israel, they all read that shit all the time. It's part of the network. Hey, get out of there. Get out. It's part of the network, the secure community network that 90% of American friars are all attached to. I mean, it's all connected. It's all connected. It's right there, guys. So I appreciate all of the input, especially the friars dumb enough to out themselves. So go check out the Israel Hayom article. Go watch Hollywoodism. That'll take you a good 3 hours to get that all done. Maybe 2.5. Maybe even 2. I don't know. Just go do it. Educate yourself. Educate yourself from their perspective. Just like Wikipedia is the truth they want you to know. Israel Hayom is their truth. Hollywoodism is their movie. We didn't make that shit. That's not an Alex Jones special. That's a them special. We made everything at www.the-bilderberg-group.com. That's where you get your free download. It's absolutely free. All you got to do is click 0 when you go to it and you click download. It'll ask you how much you want to pay. Click 0 and it's free. Or you can donate. We really appreciate it. Check that out. Go check out all the little different receipts I have in the description. Whether it's the Team Jorge article, the act.il article, the Havara agreement. Spend the afternoon looking into the Havara agreement. If you're not convinced after reading that you've been lied to, I really don't know what else to provide you, but I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep trying. I don't have the secure community network link in there, but I'm going to, because that needs to be included as well. So have yourself a wonderful day. Go check out all the shit. Most important as always, you Jeffs out there, you pedos out there, do the world a favor and kill yourself.